Welcome to the Kentucky Atheist.
Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste me, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate, you know where to find me. And if you're going atheist, you can fucking bite me. I'll be cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, nah, unlikely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane.
All right. That's so fun. Jess does such a good job making that stuff.
It's fantastic.
It's not really fair because she does like such an excellent job making stuff, and then it leads into redneck me. Hey, let's go, guys.
They're very underwhelming.
Yeah, but she's awesome. She makes all that stuff and does the thumbnails and the backgrounds and all that stuff for me now because my creative abilities are extremely limited. So I rely on her for that, and she does awesome. But anyway, how are you doing today, AJ? I'm glad to have you back.
I'm great. This is like a church service Sunday, you know?
Yeah. Everybody shake hands, and I'm gonna pass around the plate here in a minute.
Yeah, for real.
We'll pass around the plate every hour.
Yeah, it's like super chats. It's a new tithing is sending super chats.
I had somebody send me a super chat or a super thanks and say it was their tithing, like a theist.
Yeah, I had somebody. I had something similar the other day. People said they'd rather donate to that than like one of these corrupt mega churches, you know. Rather donate to an atheist. Yeah, I accept it. I accept all comers.
Yeah. All donations are accepted. I mean, that's better than the death threats I got from Steven Anderson's people. Whenever I covered him, they got.
I haven't gotten any death threats.
Yeah, man. It wasn't a directly you need to die thing. It was more like you're going to find out about hell pretty soon or something. It was something like that. And I mean, it was obvious that it was threatening, but it wasn't directly like, I'm going to kill you. I just got all this demonetized. The first 5 minutes talking about that. Yeah, no good. But yeah, that's the only time that happened. Now I've got all kinds of crazy messages, of course, about God and Allah and all kinds of magic stuff that I didn't even know existed. I had back in the day when I started, I had one video that got real big and got almost 20,000 views. And when I first started. And so all the interaction from that was almost all Christians. They didn't know who I was yet or anything. So they were commenting on it a lot. And I got to interact back and forth with some doozies there. But that was kind of my experience of, you get a lucky video every now and then, but you don't know why certain ones do better, because I have my favorites, and those usually don't do all that great. But then one that I'm like, I don't really care for this one, it'll get a few thousand views real quick, and I'm like, wow, I guess I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's usually how it happens, is that you or in my experience, you can spend a lot of time either doing I don't know if you've done very many pre-recorded videos, but those take a lot more work in my experience, and a lot more time, or spend a lot of time researching, getting ready for a live stream. And then those videos, they don't do as well. But then the ones that I do off the cuff and I'm not really even trying, or they're impromptu, those ones will blow up.
Yeah. It's hard to chase the algorithm, really. I mean, it's almost like a pointless endeavor. You just gotta do what you feel, and sometimes people grab it and sometimes they don't. I find that holiday weekends are when that happens usually. Like holiday weekends are good for my channel. I always pick up a bunch of subs and views and stuff on holiday weekends. Hey everybody in the chat. Hey Robin and Al and Stacy and Barnaby. Good to see you. Thanks for coming, everybody. As you can see, AJ's here with me today. I didn't really plan a topic or whatever. We may add another person here to the panel, or even two here in a little bit. I may open it up and whatever. And but AJ, last time he came on, we didn't really get to dedicate the time to talking to him. We'd already been on for a while, and he was busy. And things just, that shit happens. I missed an interview one morning, the first time that Mark Reed came on, and like I was really excited about meeting Mark Reed and talking to him, and my electric went out, so I had to have Azo do the interview, and I mean it still went really good. I mean all that is just a bummer for me, but sometimes things don't work out. I understand.
Yeah, have you got a chance to talk to him since then? Because
Azo?
Mark Reed.
Mark Reed. Yeah. I had Mark Reed on again, and he's actually scheduled to come on again here in a few weeks. Our times are so different that he'll if I do something and he's up though, he drops in the chat usually.
Believe me, I know about that because I love doing YouTube, but my least favorite thing is scheduling stuff. Yeah, as you've seen. And trying to schedule a stream with 3 people where it's me and Grayson and then Mark Reed, trying to find a time where all 3 of us, when he's in Australia, I mean, me and Grayson are both in Texas, so we're the same time zone, but that's usually difficult, but it's usually worth it for the streams that we get to do together.
Yeah,
those are some of my favorite videos.
Well, like I think that show that Mark's coming on, I usually do it at 7. And I'm going to do it at 9 p.m. that night, so it's not so early for him, I think there's a 12-hour difference between me and him, so there's like a 14-hour difference for you?
Yeah, something like that.
Wait, you're Central Time, aren't you? 13 hours? Yeah. So, yeah, Mark's worth it. Mark's worth changing the time for. He's such a great guest, and Mark is really he's so kind and just so smooth about dealing with everything. He doesn't get upset. Even the other night, people in his chat were not being very friendly and stuff, and he just kindly shut it down. And me, I would have already been pissed, yelling at him. I would have been mad. And his composure is good, and he's, not to mention the excellent debate skills that Mark has. Him and Grayson both, for that matter. And you, Mark and Grayson, that's an awesome panel. I think I caught a little bit of that. That was a debate dissection thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were watching the debate between Mandisa and Ken Hovind, which was just a pretty hilarious video.
I agree.
And then I got to talk to her by myself the next stream I did, which was cool. It's a really interesting person to talk to.
She'll be here the 26th of this month, so I'll get to talk to her too. Yeah, and that was an excellent debate. That's actually what I had heard of her, but I didn't really know much about her. And then she did the debate with Kent Hovind, and I watched that. And I was like, wow. I was like, I want to talk to her about that. And because, see, I haven't debated Kent Hovind. I haven't even really interacted with Kent. I've interacted with some of his minions or cult followers or whatever you want to call them, like Lupin and.
Like Lupin.
Yeah. Not top pay grade of the DAL cult. But,
can we talk about that? I have not seen the episode where Lupin was on here.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we were doing that day is I was actually talking to Issa. Issa was the guest, and you know how Issa does on streams. He kind of comes and goes, and whatever. So I opened it up and was like, hey, if anybody wants to come on and talk to us or whatever, you can join. Just didn't have to be adversarial or anything. I just come on and we'll talk about, I forget, we were talking about the Bible and versus the Quran on certain things. And Lupin jumps in and starts off with the flood was real and just some Kent Hovind spill. Only he was incredibly drunk, man. His eyes were crossed and he just wasn't talking clearly, which was okay. I mean, whatever, but then he proceeded to then be belligerent and drunk. And that was a problem. And I was fine with it. He was just saying silly stuff like, oh, the Grand Canyon proves the flood. And I was like, no, man, like I can show you this and explain to you how rocks work. And like,
yeah, I mean, there are sedimentary layers in the Grand Canyon. Okay. So that's laid down by water, but then you have you have wind layers, you have ash layers. It's like did the floodwaters recede and then you had these wind layers come down and then the waters came back, or like, how does that work?
Yeah. And I mean, for things like the Grand Canyon, I mean, you're talking about hundreds of feet of mud that would be there when the floods went away. Like it wouldn't look like that at all. I mean, there's obvious things. I usually point to, like, I'll say, like Aaron Ra has done a series of videos showing how every branch of science disproves Noah's flood. And then I kind of pick one or two and say, okay, how do you reconcile this thing that Aaron pointed out here? Because I like the way Aaron covers it, I guess. So I point to that a lot. But So we're going on about that, and he's just kind of throwing me softball shit, really. Like just what about sulfur balls beside the river? Just like silly shit. And I'm like, are you really gonna bring me Ron Wyatt? Is that what we're gonna do here? And
well, it's funny to see the Kent Hovind arguments, because that's always what it is, filtered through the drunkenness of Lupin and like just him in general, like
right.
Because he degrades these already bad arguments into just like, I almost can't get mad at him when I talk to him. Like, just
I told him I would help him make his arguments better.
Yeah, that's how I did a video. I don't know if you are familiar with Taylor. It's like 13-year-old girl who just does Kent Hovind's arguments.
Oh, I watched that. I watched all that. That was an awesome.
Oh yeah, you're in my chat for that one.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be nice, but like,
you want to address her like you do Kent, because she's saying the same thing.
It's just like, this seems inappropriate. Like,
yeah, it does.
My streams are not for my streams are 18 plus.
Yeah.
You put it that way.
Yeah. It's, and there's also kind of as you brought up, there's kind of a weird presence. Her presence on YouTube and things is kind of strange. And
yeah, like her other videos, like the comment sections are real weird. And they have lots of views. Like, she has almost as many subs as I do.
Yeah.
Which is weird in its own right.
When you cherry pick pieces of Aaron's visits, do you also your own research to make them sound? Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's excellent advice, Mark Caesar.
I will say yes. I absolutely started doing that. When I started doing YouTube, I was totally just taking Aaron's arguments.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So
well, I've started like I just did a video on some stuff on Donnie's channel about Y chromosomes and stuff that he did with Jerry Bergman, and I went and pulled like some science or some abstract stuff from nature on the differences in the Y chromosome between humans and chimpanzees. And so I explained, I explained why his argument was stupid, but then I showed the actual papers to say this is why it's stupid. and showed those on screen and put them in the description. Whenever I do like recorded stuff, I'm better at that because, of course, I have time to prepare and script and study and go look up things and all that. I'm not always so great off the cuff. I mean, my big debate achievement is debating Kyle Adams about the Ark and or about a worldwide flood, I think, on Mark's channel. That was
it just comes with experience. You know, the more debates you do, the better you get at it. You know, like anything else. And Mark Reed, he's always doing new debates. I think I've done at least 10, but I didn't start doing any until I did YouTube. So it's good to take that opportunity. I just wish there was, you know, like better platforms for it.
I think there's a community out there that would do debates like through Discord or whatever, and I think there's a good way somebody could have like a Discord server just for the debates, you know, that isn't some particular groups, and be able to have a cool thing like that. I don't know, man. I'm not really crazy. Like, I don't care to debate. I like to do it because for me, it's fun up until the actual debate, like doing the research and going and knowing that I can show why somebody's wrong. That's awesome. That's fun. And it has a bit of, I mean, there's a pride thing there, I guess. You know, you like being able to do the job you set out to do. So I don't know. I like doing it in that aspect, but I hate the actual going on camera and doing it, just debating. I don't know. It just self-conscious thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm probably the same way. Like leading up to the debate, I enjoy the preparation, but the day of, I'm like, why did I schedule this? Why did I do this? And I'm reevaluating my life choices. You know, like this is a horrible idea. But then I get in the debate. Like once I get into it after the first couple of minutes, then I get sort of get in the zone, and I can feel, you know, I don't think about it anymore.
Yeah. You've talked to Kent a number of times. So when you talk to Kent now, like you pretty much know how he's going to behave and respond. And he's only got, you know, a handful of responses. So I would say for you, it's probably easy to prepare for the conversation because you know where it's going to go. Like, and with someone like Kent, like if I went and just talked to Kent without any experience, you know, knowing what he does and stuff, he could stump you. I mean, because he jumps around so much and he gish gallops and all that crap. And it's so, I mean, Kent has debate skills. Definitely. They're maybe a little dirty, but he just, uses them for nefarious reasons. So I think.
Yeah. That's part of debating though. You know, if you're going to debate Christians or theists, you know, you have to, you know, I don't think they can win on the factual side or the argument side. So they have to employ some other tactics, and you have to be ready for those. And those can be hard to deal with, especially like the personal crap. It can be, because that's the point of it, is to like distract you and get under your skin. And Kent is good at that. You know, he'll always, whatever his debate opponent is, he's going to research them and find out like what innate qualities this person have that I can exploit, like to try and chip at their self-esteem because they can't win the debate on the actual grounds of the question. It's never about the actual topic. It's more about like, how can I make fun of this person?
Yeah.
You know, fucked up in its own right, but you know.
Yeah. The whole whack an atheist thing, I feel like that's all that is just, how can I be mean about something about this person?
Yeah. Well, the Rachel Oates video was pretty gross, it was the last time he looked at that same video. So I feel like Kent's repeating himself at this point. That's why I think some people say like that the Kent Hovind debates, that they're the same, or like why debate him? But the Mandisa debate was a lot different. I think that was definitely something new.
I think when people show up at DAL, he is different. He seems, because his debate with Grayson was different too. It wasn't the same stuff. I think both of those went kind of differently. I think both of those were excellent. I think both of those, both Mandisa and Grayson, just knocked it out of the park. I mean, Mandisa was just there's this like South Park meme clip that people play, and it says he's already dead, and they're just like beating him, and that's what came to mind when I watched that. I was like, golly, Kent's taking it bad today.
Oh, I think that's The Simpsons, not South Park.
Oh, it is The Simpsons. You're right. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. But
Aiden will get mad at me if I don't correct that. So
yeah. Sorry, my bad. I'm good for that every now and then. Yeah. I don't know. I have fun like watching people mess with Kent and then watching it later, and just because sometimes his reactions are kind of funny. He's I don't know. He's a funny guy, I guess. But when you take away all the other things and stuff that surround him, I don't see a problem with people debating Kent. I do think that Kent generally has like it's not necessarily that it's a script. It's just he does all these little debates, so he says a lot of the same stuff over. I mean that but he's bound to as many as he does. I think he does like pull from his seminar, like he even makes the same jokes over and over that are in it. But I think he's trying to always. I think all those slides and stuff that he always pulls up, I think he's always trying to like upgrade that and just add more stuff to it. Like anytime he finds something that matches his set of beliefs, that he can quote mine into his set of beliefs, he adds it to the slides and then tries to incorporate it. So, I mean, he tries to build it, but his argument only has.
I know he's changed one slide, and that's like when he's talking about the inverse square law, and his wife is mentioned in those slides. He had to change it from Joe to Sandra, so he changed that slide because I guess he had to. I just thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. That's it's kind of crazy that that's the only thing that got him to need to update this one. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, I think that I don't know. I just get this grifty, like, car salesman feeling from Kent Hovind that I don't get a lot of other places. And to me, I wouldn't care to sit down. I want to have a discussion with Kent Hovind. I don't want to debate him. I want to sit down and talk to him because I don't want to talk about evolution. I want to talk about the Bible and his beliefs, which he's never going to do. So,
yeah, he'll talk about that with other Christians. And it's funny in those debates, like if it's an opposing ideology, he'll always say that, oh, this other person, we need them to be like a biblical guru, and everybody needs to believe what they believe. But I'm like, that's what you do, Kent. Like, this is just projection.
Yeah.
You have a camp that has a sign out front that says, women, please wear like dark shirts over your bathing suits. And like that, where people that don't share the same like biblical doctrines as him, they're not really welcome there.
Right.
But he says that the other person is the one who's like, oh, we need to believe what they believe. It's always projection with him.
Right. No, I agree. I think that they have no choice but resort to, projection whenever you get down to them actually defending any position they have. I mean, like it's just at what point they do it, because some of them like to start with morality and all that stuff, and you think the universe came from nothing, and all that stuff, and it's like nobody ever said that. Like you think God created it from nothing, but you have some problem with me thinking that it came from nothing, even though I don't think that. Like, what's
right.
But I think there's a lot more precept people and stuff that they try to hide it though. Like, I don't know if they actively try to hide it, but it seems like you get in talking to them and you're like, oh, I see. You feel that way because you're just going ahead and assuming everything you think is true in the question. So it's like always a loaded question about this and that. And when that doesn't work, they want to go to, well, atheists aren't consistent about this and this. And on a lot of that stuff though, like whenever it gets to the point to where it's like, I'm just going to attack atheists and or some other community within the atheist community. Whenever it gets to that stuff, I'm usually like, just look, I'll give you all of your crap's true. Like, it's all true. Now explain to me why it's the Christian God and why I should believe what you believe. And just when it gets there, I like to talk about the other things. I try to cut them off from going down the road of being an asshole to the community, you know?
Yeah. I sometimes wonder though, like, is that counter argument like flawed in itself? Because, you know, a God or a deity is such an ill-defined concept in the first place. And I don't think that, at least with Christian religion, I don't think that they think that God is something that's like really tangible, or like that they even know what they're talking about when they describe a God, because it'd be different to every person. Because it's really just, at the end of the day, it's just a voice in their head, right? It's just their own conscience telling them these things.
Yeah.
So asking them to prove a God or give evidence for it, it's like, how would, you know,
they defined it into existence. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, that's why I think it's kind of an endless argument. You know what I mean? It's like, you're
Right.
asking for evidence of something that they believe on faith. You're asking for evidence of something when faith is defined as something where you believe it without evidence. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, right.
Kind of like, yeah.
Now let me ask you a silly question here. So, have you ever, as long as you've been making videos, went into a conversation with a theist thinking you were going to change their mind?
No, usually that's not how I go in. I usually think that it's more for the viewers, like that most of them are not going to have their minds changed either. I look at it as, you know, maybe there's people on the fence who are watching, but I think of it more as a personal tool to build my own like speaking skills and debating skills on YouTube. So if I'm not going to change their mind, then at least I can have it build my experience with talking to people and debating these subjects. And you know, you have to go in doing it just because you enjoy doing it, I think.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, because if you're like, it's like even Kent Hovind says that, like, oh, I debated all these atheists, but I haven't converted any of them. It's like, well, of course not. You're not going to convert somebody in that short of a time. It doesn't happen that quickly, because people don't build their beliefs over the course of a debate or a day. So you're not going to change those beliefs that quickly either. With the process, you know.
Well, there's always this misconception that atheists, the reason that we even have these arguments and entertain these things is because this, you know, like, we want to take people away from God, or we want to convert people to the evil atheism, you know, like that stuff's always put out there. And I knew that you didn't. I mean, I just, you know, I felt like it's a thing to ask people because it's said so often. And like, it's a weird thing though, because it's like you came to, if we came to convince each other of opposite things, like, why would you expect that anyway? I don't think it makes sense to make that argument that they bitch about, like, atheists spend all their time talking about God, and it's like, well, no, but we have lives other than this. This just takes up a big chunk of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have heard that argument before of, like, why do atheists talk about God if they don't think God exists? I'm like, that's true, but it's like this is the argument I always come back to. It's more, I find it less important asking people to give evidence for God, and more important arguing about, like, I'm a pragmatist, and there are politicians in the US and other parts of the world that do believe in God, and they're lawmakers, and they make laws that affect, you know, reproductive rights and LGBT people and all these things. And those I think are issues that really do matter, because politicians, they do exist, you know, they're real.
Yeah.
and the laws affect
Unfortunately.
people. Yeah. Like, the governor of Texas.
Yeah.
And
Abbott.
yeah, and like the person who was the in charge of education when I was in high school, it affected the curriculum of the school I went to, which is part of the reason that I started doing YouTube, is because I found I was annoyed about that. And yeah, those are, I think, is a more important thing to argue about, because advocating for change in that field, and for politicians who are secular, and for government to be secular, because that's how the American country was founded, as a secular government.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to be a return to that, and that's part of atheist activism. YouTube and this stuff, I think, is just a vehicle for that, getting the message out about that stuff, which I think is the most important thing.
I mean, I created a strictly political show that I do on Thursdays now, and it became kind of necessity out of the atheist activism thing because of everything that's going on. And again, it's not a thing that, like, sure, I want people to change their minds whenever they see some of the information I give, but I want to inform people about the things that they may not know that they're voting for, and the implications of those things, so that people can make a more informed decision when they do it. And I'm not the best teacher of those things and stuff, but I think that from someone in the Bible Belt in a Republican state like Kentucky, that I can give, though, a perspective on it that may be useful. I mean, I hear and see a lot of the Trump activity. There's like this is like rural Kentucky too, so everybody's got a pickup truck and a Trump flag, right? Like it's I'm in God's country, and so I experience a lot of that, so it's easy for me to get into and talk about. And what we try to do, though, is take it like everything that just happened this week, so like all the big events and stuff, and talk about that. And because I think it is part of atheist activism. The more I look at it, when Aaron came on the show, he told me, we were just kind of bullshitting and talking and stuff, and he was like, I'm going to start doing more videos, leading up to the election, about political stuff and all that. And I hadn't really thought about, like, I knew the danger to certain communities and stuff. The LGBTQ community, especially, I knew the danger that was posed, but at the same time, I wasn't really informed as well as I should have been on it. And I was like, well, let me take a look at this Project 2025 stuff and all that. And I was horrified, and I was like, okay, I gotta say something, I care about people, and I have a platform, even if it's a small platform, where I can expose this stuff to other people. Then I want to do it. So
I'm not familiar with that. Actually, I haven't heard about that. So why don't you expose yourself to me about it?
But Robin does it with me, and it's fun. We talk about this week's like stuff in politics and things, and we're talking about like having other people come on too if they want to, if they got something specific relating to that they want to say or whatever. But it's a lot of fun to talk about that stuff, and it's important. Like, we brought out this list that has all the different things that Project 2025 promised to do, and just went over each of them and talked about it and why they were doing that and how they were going to accomplish it. And it was useful. Well, it's been useful and helpful. Plus, we got this cool background for it too. See, we got the news background. But yeah. So I feel like it's part of it now, though. It has to be, because it's not just Republicans. It's the Christian nationalists and the Christian right that are trying to use their ideologies to make laws and impose their religion on others. And I think it's awful behavior, And I think channels like ours are in danger if Trump would be elected president. I think that they would shut down a lot of the dissent.
Yeah. My favorite thing is my favorite new argument from the theists is that God protected Trump from being shot. I think we talked about that last time, but I just it's so crazy that even happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know what that person's motivation was, but it had the opposite effect, I think, because it just made people rally behind him. And it's like I don't care if that happened, he's still a horrible person. He still was a bad president. And one thing I noticed is that so many, like, I know you're supposed to call they call former presidents, they still call them president, but I'm like, it bothers me that people still call him like President Trump. I'm like, he's not president anymore.
Former president.
They all do that. Yeah, former, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, that one blackout night we made a bad choice. A lot of his sycophants like to run around and call him President Trump, and I agree. Every time I hear it, I'm like, he's not the president. You're addressing him wrong, first of all, but like you're also being disrespectful to someone else just by doing it. It's and in such a shitty way. And then to turn around and always point and say the rhetoric of the left, they're causing violence and all this stuff whenever you have like all of the things that they want to do, and they're planning. They want to deploy the United States military on protesters. Like, what are you talking about? Like, who gives a shit? Like, those things are important, and I don't know. The left ain't doing no shit like that. I can promise you that. They're not trying to take away everyone's rights and just, I don't know, put in an authoritarian dictatorship is what it looks like to me. I mean, you look at other countries, even what's going on right now in Venezuela, like it's exactly the Trump playbook. Cast doubt on the voting systems and all that, and who cares what it actually says? Say it's a lie and keep saying it until people either agree with you or get used to it.
Yeah, in other countries, it's just more severe. They can actually have fake elections and overturn democratically elected presidents, and just
There's places that there's places that do that, and I don't know if they've been scripting their stuff after what Trump did, or if Trump stole the idea from them, or if he's just such a liar he had to do it. I said when he got elected, I said there's no way he'll leave office if he loses, because he will never admit that he's defeated or wrong in anything. He never will, and he never has. I mean, he's never said he's wrong about anything. He just drawing pictures on hurricane maps and stuff like that. I mean, like, just this shit's crazy, and the fact that people just ignore it is weird. People on the right and stuff that do ignore it, but I think this time coming around, there's a lot of Republicans that have had it with Trump, and I think he's going to lose by a lot more than what it looks like, because those polls, a lot of them are based on registered voters, and not all Republicans are going to vote Republican this time, I don't think, because they hate Trump, and it's not a zero number, but we'll see what happens. You can't really predict elections,
Yeah, I mean, I'm registered to vote. Like, people who are watching should register if they're not, I think.
Yeah, no, voting's definitely the best thing you can do if you care about these issues, and vote.
I feel like I want to say, like, get out and vote, but not if you're going to vote Republican, then stay home.
Yeah, if you're going to vote Republican, don't worry about it. See, I always feel like that too, but the reason that I leave it out is because when you look at like the electorate, Republicans don't win if people vote. So just encouraging people to vote ensures that Republicans can't win. And well, if those people vote, of course, how successful that is. But like when Kamala when it was announced that Kamala was going to run, that they signed up like hundreds of thousands of new voters immediately whenever she said that, and then she raised like $300 million. So, and like over, I think they said 66% of it was grassroots, like small donations, and and from first-time donors, she had a ton of first-time donors, and that's really like that's a good sign of things to come, you know, because it shows that the momentum's moving in your direction, and hopefully it keeps doing that. But yeah, get out and vote. Don't feel like your vote doesn't count. It does, unless you live in Kentucky
or Venezuela.
If you live in one of the 7 battleground states, go vote.
Yeah, I mean, I feel lucky that I live in a part of Texas. It's more like it's not red. It's not that red, you know, because it's a big city.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the cities are generally Democratic, and I would love to get out of the part of Kentucky I'm in. Honestly, like I don't have to leave Kentucky, but I would like to get out of the sticks. It's completely red here. Everybody is, and you know, I've said this before anyway, that Ken Ham and AIG didn't set up shop here on accident. Like they knew what they were doing. This area is full of young earth creationists and different fundamentalists, and there's just a lot of that. There's, you know, the snake handling Pentecostals and all that stuff. All those things are around here, and they you know, if he plops down right in the middle of a demographic of those people, you know, he's doing it to gain business. And so it's always weird dealing with all that. I'd like to be somewhere else because I just don't feel like I fit in with anybody, you know. I've gotten to the point from doing this so much, talking to different people and hearing different crazy positions, that whenever I like have a conversation with somebody that I know is like one of the big Christian folks around here, I'm doubtful of their judgment because of that. And I mean, you know, that's probably not the right way to be about it or whatever, but I just find myself like, I don't know that I trust your judgment. You hold some crazy ideas like that I know you've been told aren't true. And so I don't know that I trust your position here. And a lot of Kent Hovind fans out this way. A lot of that. Ray Comfort too. They love Ray Comfort. But
Banana Man.
Yeah. It's I would love to get to a city or something, and eventually I will. I've had a chance to get out of here a few times. I've lived like in this same area since I was born. I was born like 5 minutes from where I'm sitting right now, and I've just been stuck here the whole time. I tried to join the military when I got out of high school just to get away from here, and before I could go, I got in trouble and caught a felony, and after that it's just like you can't do shit. Like, you're a convicted felon, your life is over. Just figure out something to do to hustle some money for the rest of your life, because that's how it's going to be. Whatever. I mean, I guess if that's the consequences, that's the consequences. But kind of sucks. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen that. I have seen that.
All right. So I will post a link in the chat if anybody wants to jump on and talk with us, and want to say hi to AJ or me, or comment or anything, argue, whatever you want to do. Let me. I'm just going to post this on YouTube, not the other one. All right.
Yeah.
But
I'll,
go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Like you gotta have Aiden on here sometime. Like, I'll come back on whenever.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we kind of jumped on this quick, and it wasn't, you know, really set up great. I would love to have love to have you and Grayson on again too, just we were having a really excellent conversation the other night, and I hadn't. It's some of the stuff whenever we got into talking about entropy and things, and how that actually predicts these systems that come together in more complex forms and stuff. There are different offshoots that do that, and then how that breaks down and applies further down the road. I hadn't really talked through that particular part of I guess thermodynamics, and it was just a really interesting conversation, and I felt like it was things that don't get covered a lot, and I love to talk about those things, because it's like, let's not forget this stuff here. There's reasons why all of this works, and there's science that shows all of it works, and so many different angles that you can look at it from that are a better explanation than a god or any of that. And Jess, can you pin that link? You can. Can you pin the link for the chat for me, Jess? Do you care? Or PC? I haven't seen PC though. But if not, I'll go get it in a second. It's no big deal. But debating if I should join in or not. I don't know who you are.
That's somebody. Chris. He's. I talked to me and Aiden talked to him on Discord. He's cool. Come on.
Yeah, you can join. I mean, I put it out there. Anybody can join, as long. I mean, don't come on and don't come on and act a fool. I'll just kick you off. But I don't expect that's your plan. You're welcome to join. Just a second. I'm pinning the link so that everyone can see it without me having to post it over and over and over. I should have just done that from the beginning, but
Yeah, you haven't been porn bombed either?
Yeah, that happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know what the bad thing about it is I kind of forgot about it the other day. I think it was Jim Bob that did it. And
really?
Yeah, the name was like, I think he came on as Jim Bob and then came on as Tim Bob or something like that. And but I had Stephanie Helms on, and they did it twice. One time they used one of my members' names, and so I thought it was Michael, and I went and added him, and it was the same person. Porn bombed me again, so it got me twice in one stream.
Jeez. I'm surprised Jim Bob isn't in the comments yet.
Yeah, he was here. He was here the other day when Michael Beverly was here, and he got mad at me yesterday. I went on his stream and told him he didn't know how words worked, and just left. But yeah, what's up, Mikey? Good to see you. Hey, Maya. We got Al, Native Atheist, Spooky, Chris, Jess, Zach. Yeah, the link is pinned in the chat there. I think Zach said something about he's going to come on in a minute. But yeah, you're welcome to come on and talk with us and hang out or whatever. We're just kind of having a talk this Sunday, not really any major thing, talking about some of the stuff that in arguments and how you approach debates and stuff, and especially in the creationist area. AJ here has heard a lot of the creationist arguments, and I think does a real good job with it. So was a good person to talk to about these things. Hey, what's up? Do I just call you Chris? Is that?
Yeah, Chris is fine.
Okay. How you doing today, Chris?
Pretty good. Actually spent the morning re-editing one of my Hovind videos, since I've finally been inspired by AJ to start taking my own take on his insanity. Had to fix one, did another one, and caught him live. Don't know if you saw in Discord, AJ, but he brought you up again in the question. Yeah, right at the tail end. I didn't get that in the recording. I bowed out right when he was starting his little prayer session at the end of his thing. It was like 10 minutes of it. But yeah, he's like, oh, AJ just comfortable in a sin. He just wants to sin. You could bait me anytime. As you.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that clip of him talking about me because I lose track. But what did he? You'll have to tell me what he said. For this question though, that's a hard one. Probably some of Grayson's debates. Definitely.
I think Grayson's debate at DAL was my favorite.
Yeah, I'll just.
I
pick
like
that one.
Mandisa a lot too, though. At DAL.
Yeah, that was also good.
Yeah.
One of my old favorites is Bill Ludlow. For a while, I thought that was the best one, but it's kind of the audio quality is kind of bad because it's an older video.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mr.
definitely.
Anderson does a great job too, I think.
Yeah.
I love Bill Ludlow's attitude. That one video he did playing the banjo music and everything about the DAL and stuff. It was just classic.
Oh yeah, absolutely lovely.
Rest in peace, Bill. Rest in peace. We miss you.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Hey, Big O, what's up? That's you, Otangelo.
Yeah, because I know.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's fun with my voice being on side of Dave, which has this grown deep voice, and I have a different pitch, so it's quite funny to talk on his side.
Yeah, I hear people doing impressions of your voice. I don't really engage in that type of thing. But I don't think they're doing it like maliciously. It's just they're just having fun with you because it's.
Well, I mean,
you can't
Jim
just
Bob.
sin of sin, you know.
Jim Bob tried to imitate me. He couldn't do it.
well, I mean, I am grown up 58-old year man, so I'm living with my voice all this time, so I have basically to accustom to it. So
Yeah.
You said you're you said you're 58, Otangelo?
yes.
So am I.
Oh,
People
cool.
come on and call me fat and say they know I'm from Kentucky and that I'm stupid and look dumb and all that stuff. It's you just get accustomed to some people just aren't going to like you.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something. It's kind of weird, but every person I've ever met from Kentucky has been awesome to me. My best friends, both of them from Kentucky. Just
Well, good.
one of those things.
Hey, there's a truly awesome person in Kentucky called Robin Webster that's soon gonna have a Grassman T-shirt. As soon as I get a size from her, Robin, if you're listening, get back with me. I need a size and whatnot.
Yeah. What's up, Zach? Good to see you. Glad you could join.
Cheers.
Hey, Zach.
Didn't realize I still had my screen on. Yeah, I did. Oh.
Yeah. So Joe, Jim Bob reviewed my video, which first time anybody's ever reviewed one of my videos. And then he reviewed it like 2-3 times this week, and he's still commenting to me today. I really got under his skin.
Yeah. Yeah, he got really upset about
AJ
me.
can relate with the Hawaiian shirt guy. I've got the same thing going on. He totally is just having a fit because I got him to say what the theory of evolution is and that it's observable, and he just won't let it go. It's like, they're your words, dude. Sorry.
That's awesome.
Native Atheist answered the question with a $10 super chat. McKinnon Mitchell did an awesome vid on Hovind. Thank you, Native Atheist.
Yeah, it's this little documentary he did. I had him on my channel not that long ago too.
Yeah, that was really good. I think that was very thorough too. Like went through his whole life.
Oh, we're talking about the Weakness of Ken Hovind documentary?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was so good. I mean, when it boils down to he's just copying people he admired and their shtick, he isn't even original. So it's a dinosaur spouting the lines of older dinosaurs. It's just kind of amazing. It's like, oh, it all comes together.
I don't get why we keep on giving this guy to be honest. Guy's a grifter, he's a liar, he doesn't give a shit about anything. All he cares about is getting his notches up on his fucking bedpost.
He has a
We need
lot
to
of
stop giving
followers.
him
He has a lot of followers.
So
It's like the Brokeback Mountain situation.
Give him Us giving him air is why he has followers, because he doesn't care what we say, and his fans like that. So if we stop giving him air, his fans they're gonna dry up because it's the same shtick.
I don't think that there's like atheists out there that are platforming Kent Hovind so much as going on streams that he's already on, and you know, correcting the bad thing he's saying. I mean, if you don't go and correct the bad things that he's saying, whether we can
correct other people, we don't need to correct him.
Well, you're not. Whenever you do it on, that's why you do it on YouTube. That way, you're doing it in front of an audience, and maybe there's somebody that isn't sure about what Kent's saying that may be leaning that way, and hopefully you can give the actual information and
because we're forced to advance
wrong. I get what you're saying, and I agree with you to some extent. I just think there's an other side of that too that you have to look at, and that there is value to it, but at the same time, you know, at what cost? And when you weigh those things out, if you think that it's, you know, more good or more bad, then you go from there. And I think that in not in all situations, but I think that confronting people like Kent Hovind who have these huge platforms is important in a lot of ways. What's up, Mike?
He grew his whole brand for like 20 or 30 years, and there was no YouTube or no atheists doing videos about him.
Yeah, but now it is, though.
That's you go buy his tape for $50.
This isn't the 80s, right? We're all on YouTube, and people want to come watch YouTube to watch people get angry at each other. And Christians want to go watch, creationists want to go watch Kevin Hovind because he disrespects atheists. They don't care about what he says. They already agree with him. It's just theater to them. So if we stop dealing with him, it's going to go away. Him specifically. We can deal with all the other Christians we want. I think Ken Hovind, he is so much of a liar and a grifter that I don't even think
it's not seen doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah, but
he's using you guys more than you're using him, and you guys don't see that. He's winning every time he loses an argument. He wins. Logic is not why he has fans. It's arguments. So the more arguments he gets, the stronger he becomes. Not because he's more right. It's because you've given him more validity as an opponent. I don't want to like have a fist fight with a 2-year-old because it's not a fair fight. He is a 2-year-old. So every time we get into the ring with a 2-year-old, we are the clowns.
Well, yeah, that's why he has children there watching all of his streams, cheering him on, because we're not supposed to be rude because there's children there, right? He sets up all the rules and he makes it up so he makes it all so he gets every advantage possible. We need to leave this fucker alone. He doesn't mean anything. This man grifts so hard that he tried to sell people like apricot seeds to cure cancer, right? Fuck this man.
Yeah.
No.
If people don't actually care about whether what they're saying is true, then you should ignore them. Yeah. Because at that point, I'm taking energy away from me spreading positivity in the world and building things and creating new music. Every time I watch one of his videos, that's one less song that's out there in the world. It is a time suck that honestly at this point, as Americans, we can't afford.
We could debunk other people making the same arguments.
No, I agree. There's bigger issues. I do think though that, like, for example,
I mean, sorry, wasn't it a couple of years ago where he was actually trying to get a number of like 1,000 atheists to debate him for the way that he beat? So why should we give him any breath? This is all he wants.
Well,
it's a double-edged sword, though. It's
there's.
I don't think
if you ignore him too much, though, you kind of give it. You kind of give it validity if you ignore it too, because if nobody's challenging it, then it's like, well, nobody's challenging it. You know, if
no one challenges if no one challenges the flat earthers, does the shape of the earth change?
No, it's just. But to the people listening to them, you know what I mean?
The shape of the earth, though.
Yeah, but I'm not saying we should ignore creationism. I'm saying we should debunk the shit out of creationism. I'm saying we should just ignore Kent Hovind.
Yeah.
When I do videos, I'm not talking to like the Hawaiian shirt guy. I'm talking to the lurkers. So.
Oh yeah, I get that, but he does get straight.
Oh yeah, it's a mess either way, but.
I did have one person who left me a comment saying they were planning to go to DAL and they saw my videos and like canceled their trip.
Right.
So I'll cite that one person.
Well, with Jim Bob, we Answers in Atheism, and I and some other people have been engaging with him, and we pick up a bunch of views, we pick up subs. So there are people that are looking for somebody to challenge them, and then they come over to our channels. So again, it's
to the bottom then.
It is I understand both sides. I do.
You can watch my past takes on talking with Kent Hovind and stuff, and see that I agree with actually what you're saying and the point you're making. I also think at the same time, like, I have a small YouTube channel. I'm not reaching a whole lot of people,
but you have good content. So what does it matter?
Yeah.
Well,
are you trying to get popular, or are you trying to do a good job? Because there's a fork in the road, right? So it's either I'm going to do my thing and it's going to be popular because it's important, or I'm going to chase popularity. And when people chase popularity and they get the controversial people on just so that they can have the video, I get it. And it's like, well, I'm going to do good stuff later, but so this bump in numbers is going to be an overall good.
I was going to say I'm limited on the people I can talk to, is what I was getting at, not because of popularity.
Well, I've been interested in talking to the people who leave that
would be more important.
Because
I was saying that one thing I've done on my channel is talking to the people who have left Dinosaur Adventureland and kind of,
that's a much better.
Giving their stories and stuff, because I found that pretty interesting, especially like his ex-wife and stuff. That was a whole saga in itself. And, being able to, I think those people should have, their voices heard more than Kent Hovind should, at least, because we all know what Kent says. I do. Yeah. I understand about the debates and everything. I mean, it is entertainment. I don't think it's a serious thing, but I think, there are disadvantages to doing it. I definitely am. I recognize that.
And like a lot of us, we don't like to give the Hawaiian shirt guy any airtime, but I don't say anything about AJ going after him because I think somebody has to. So, a lot of us have decided not to talk about him, while there are some other channels that stay on him, and I think there's a place for that. So
I think that, like, Grayson, we talked about best debates against Kent Hovind and stuff. I think that, like, Grayson's Grayson's visit to DAL, I think there were some. I think that was a positive thing, because Grayson really did an excellent job there, and a lot of people seen, Kent Hovind just completely getting destroyed on every point. And I think that when it's done right, there is a way to confront that person. I don't agree with every person that just goes in and wants to have him on and wants to do debates over on Proverbs Guys and all that stuff. Like, I don't think that a lot of that is productive or helpful. But at the same time, Mikey, what I was getting at wasn't about being popular, though. I was trying to say, like, I'm limited on who I get to talk to. I can't message up Mike Winger and have him come have a conversation with me, or I can't, there's just a lot of people that ignore me because I got a little tiny channel and I'm a redneck from Kentucky. So it's hard to get people to talk to.
You got to go with it, Joe. Like I said, he kept telling me I needed a helmet, so I designed myself a really cool helmet, and I just roll with it. You know what I mean? So when they say you're redneck from Kentucky, you go, yeah, I am. Yeah,
I don't.
You know what I mean? And you just So that's what I say. If you didn't see my cool Bigfoot helmet avatar, that's because Jim Bob said I needed a helmet. So I made a cool helmet with Bigfoot. So I just ha, there's my helmet, right? So you take it away from them,
But to be honest, I don't know why atheists give so much focus on Kent Hovind. For what I see, he brings the same arguments for decades already. He hasn't any new argument. So I don't know
it's because
why.
New generations find him, Otangelo.
It's not just that. People think he's easy.
But you remember Bob Lazar? Does everybody remember Bob Lazar?
Oh, yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, okay. Well, Bob Lazar pretty much got, dismantled and proven a fraud, and he kind of just disappeared off the radar. But like last year or whatever, when Fox News was running all the UFO stories, guess who climbed back out of the woodwork? So then you got to tell people that don't know about him, right? Or maybe weren't even alive then, that this is who Bob was. He was proven a fraud. You know what I mean? And sometimes the rehash does have to happen because people forgot who Bob was, and here he's surfacing again. So
yeah, I get that for the most part, and I agree with all the, we got to talk and all this other stuff. It's just Kent Hovind specifically, because his whole brand now is troll / just bulldozer. You know what I mean?
I understand your point.
We shouldn't give it him.
That's why I say Hawaiian shirt guy. I try not to even say his name. Yeah. So, but again, though, AJ wants to take him down. I'm rooting him on. You know what I mean? So
Kent Hovind does have
people want to take him down, but a bit of me does also get disappointed, man.
Right.
I don't know, like, because if I go visit, like, say, Missing Mod stream or something, I can talk to a whole group of people that follow Kent Hovind and, like, listen to every word he puts out and then go out and repeat it as truth. So I think there is some value to it, but at the same time, I understand, like, what you're getting at and why you feel that way. I felt that way too, actually. That's go watch. I mean, you can go watch it in my early streams. One of the first things I say is I'm not wasting my time talking to Kent Hovind. I can just argue against his script if I want to, which is true. And I have no desire to debate Kent Hovind.
The only reason I'd talk to him is to ask him about apricot seeds. It's the only thing I'd talk to him about.
Well, see, okay,
I'm not an atheist, but if I would be an atheist, I wouldn't focus on Kent Hovind whatsoever. I would focus on substantiating my worldview.
See, the thing is, with me,
that's kind of a weird thing.
I kind of agree with him though, because being the more scientific-minded person, right? What I should do to find out truth, being a science-minded person, is I should try and disprove things. Right. So I've got to try and disprove religion. So I've got to attack religious people and their ideas, because if I can't attack it successfully, well, then it's more true, isn't it? Because that's just
I completely disagree with what you just said.
Hey,
I'll explain you why. If you are a scientific-minded person, then you should actually try to disprove your worldview and see if it withstands scrutiny.
The problem with what you've just said is that science is already doing that. It is trying to show the worldview in which science sees. So I don't need to do that. Scientists do that. They're trained. They're physicists. They're chemists. They're biologists. They know what to do. They know the proper test, and they have the equipment. I don't. So I'm going to rely on their studies. I'm going to debunk arguments instead of proof. You see?
But Zach, they are making the same mistake, because if you take, for example, an Origin of Life science paper, what you will see at the end of the paper in the discussion section, it is not that they will try to disprove that abiogenesis didn't happen. They will try to corroborate it. And that's exactly the opposite of what they actually should supposed to do, because they will always write, we hope, we suppose, it is probable.
Hold on. That's just what they do. It's part of the scientific method, and it's part of, so. They also talk about factors that could have changed things, that changed bits of their results and all sorts, right? They don't just pontificate about things. They might make some projections, right? But the fact is they made one claim and they tried to disprove that one claim. They don't make vague assertions to everything else in the scientific paper. That's what scientific books are for.
Yeah. I think that.
And also, when it comes to abiogenesis, science isn't going, let's disprove abiogenesis. What they do is try and disprove different ways that abiogenesis could have occurred, not just the whole concept.
You try to rule out. So the whole idea is to rule out other possibilities to the,
And if you can't disprove it, then it can stand. Then it can stand. Yeah. So Tangelo, to a point, yes, they are trying to disprove themselves. But if you can't disprove it, then it stands as well. It must be true because you can't disprove it. So that's falsifiability.
The thing is that abiogenesis hasn't ever been corroborated to be true.
And they haven't cured cancer yet either. They haven't cured cancer yet either. Tomorrow they could.
I didn't realize. Did we have a deadline for answers?
Right. That's what scientists do. What do you think they do every day, Otangelo?
So what happens? So I'm sorry. What happens back in the 10s or 1890s with physics when they didn't know about quantum, and then we find out about quantum? It's almost like we find out new information and change our points based on that, instead of going, do you know what? I heard Aquinas said something in the 1200s. That's still totally 100% true, even though they knew nothing about atoms, waves, fields, or anything that we have now.
Well said.
Because, you know,
the thing is that
than scientific tests that have literally brought us the technology which we're talking through now. It's almost like we have results on one side and the other has nothing except vague assertions, wild arguments, dreams, and, well, you know, I saw it once.
Well, the thing is, we are talking about origin.
Right.
Yeah,
we are
when they're on the
talking about
internet.
origin.
Yeah.
So these are different questions. One is, how do things work? And when we figure out certain things, we can move on with advancing and apply scientific findings in practical uses. But the other question is about origins, which isn't about finding things and stuff that we can use for practical terms. So these are different questions.
No, that's false. Evolution's used to make cures and stuff. So if abiogenesis has a theory, that may be used for cures and everything too. So you can't say it'll be worthless.
We know how it started.
That's not the goal to find out.
Hold on,
I didn't say it was the goal. I didn't say it was the goal.
Hold on. AJ's got to go. He's got to go take care of some other things. So I just want to say bye to him real quick. He was the guest for today. And we can continue talking, you guys, if you want. But I just
don't let me interrupt y'all.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
Thanks, AJ, for all you do.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, thanks to AJ for coming on and just sitting and having a conversation with me. And I hope to get together with AJ and a couple other guys and have a real good panel one night. Talk about some more serious things and stuff. But I appreciate AJ coming, and his channel's linked in the description and in the title and all that. So if you're not subscribed or you're not familiar with AJ, go over there and check him out. He has a great channel. He talks about a lot of the stuff that we're talking about right now, and has a lot of good takes on Kent Hovind too. So go check him out and stuff. I just wanted to say that before he drops off here, because he was kind enough to come and take part in the show today. So thank you, AJ, and thanks everyone that came to watch AJ. All right, now
we'll definitely do that. Sure.
Okay.
Later, bro.
In the business, dude.
Let's try and organize this a little bit so that we're not all talking over each other. Okay.
I'm bad at that, by the way.
I'm gonna say, I'll say one thing, and then that'll get it going again here, and then we can kind of go from there. So Otangelo, I think though that the issue with what you're saying is that science we do use science to rule out things, and then we test those things that are left, and we let others corroborate that through testing and through going through the same steps that we did, so they can see if they come out to the same thing. The peer review process, you understand that. So I think that the issue is that like, it's fine though if you want to challenge things like abiogenesis and stuff, I'll give you that. My big question is, why are we looking for, like, why should we believe in the Christian God then, even if those things aren't true? I don't think that defeating abiogenesis or evolution or any of that does any good for your argument. And that's really the thing that I try to dig at and get down to the bottom of, is why should I believe this thing is true?
Because it's just the God of the gaps argument. Sorry.
Well, yeah.
But we don't have the answer for it, so they have to reach for something. And because they have no proof and just arguments, they have to reach for answers that we don't have yet. And that's literally all they've done for thousands of years. Well, you don't have the answer to this yet. Well, we actually proved that the universe is 14.7 billion light years wide. We've proved atoms, we've proved cells, bacteria, all sorts of things that religious people stood against at the time. So how many times does science have to prove religion wrong before religious people get off the goddamn fucking high horse and go, do you know what? Maybe we're not right about everything. Maybe this book from 2,000 years ago that's taken from a book that's from earlier than that has some of its myths taken from Mesopotamia. Do you know what? Maybe it isn't correct. Maybe it isn't 100% correct. But no, we're just, I don't want to die. Oh, I've sunk too much time into it. 20 billion different reasons why every time they're wrong, they're 100% right. And that is one of the reasons that people like Christians, because Christians just bulldoze through people and go, we have all the answers and it doesn't matter if they're wrong because you're too stupid to know it, right? So trust me, because I know better. I know my book says trust not in your own understanding, which means mine as well, and trust in the Lord's. But nah, they all have their own answers because they've got so many denominations, and this priest says this, and this book says this, and this translation says this, and they're all so fucking certain of everything when they don't have an answer to literally anything. They have no proof for Jesus, no proof for almost anyone in the Bible, and they're like, it's all 100% true. Don't worry about it until we prove it wrong, and then, hey, it was just myth all along, yo.
Yeah.
Well,
What do you think,
Angela? Wow.
Go ahead.
Well, I think that the dichotomy science against religion is false. We have science which unravels how things work, and we try to find an explanation of the natural phenomena, like when DNA was discovered. Nobody expected that it would be.
What does it got to do with God? What is it going to do with God? God, you don't have any proof that God made it, do you? So until you have proof that God did something, why don't you say that?
Telling me that things are false doesn't...
Give me some proof instead of an argument. Give me some proof.
And that's really the thing that we're talking about here at the heart of this, is because telling me what's false, that science has peer-reviewed and looked at, doesn't help anything. Because the issue with that is that what science does, abiogenesis, for example... Science isn't saying, hey, it's abiogenesis. They're saying here is a method that would possibly work and that has a natural explanation to how this occurred. And we're not saying that this is the answer, but this would work, and all the tools and everything that's needed to make this work are there. So this seems to be like a reasonable, natural answer to this question. So what I'm asking is if we're gonna shoot down those things and say, well, those things aren't true, then what is the reasonable piece of whatever you can give me to believe the other way? Because that's what's missing. Christianity doesn't have that. They don't have anything.
Well, I don't start with Christianity for a good reason, because I use the cumulative argument for God's existence, which starts with the basic question: does God exist or does he not exist? And if you have a true dichotomy, either intelligence had to be involved to create the order or not. And you cannot test God, because we are talking supposedly about events which happened only once in the past. So you cannot expect to prove that God creates.
If it can't be attested, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, if God functions and makes everything and runs through everything and controls everything, and his fiber of being is in every fiber of being of existence,
bring my point without being interrupted. So I'll just leave and I'll come in another opportunity. Okay, have a good one. Have a good afternoon. Bye.
This is why I don't argue with Christians.
Well,
what I wanted to say was, if he, like Otangelo just said, there's no method to test his claims. So that's why when they say, well, you're only using science, well, science has the scientific method to test claims. If you want to have some sort of what he says is not testable, then you have to have another type of method to run these claims through, and they don't have one.
No, because they don't want one. That's the thing, right? Because they're afraid it's not going to find anything. That's what it is. It's like flat earthers going, I don't want to go to space.
That's when I went on Hamza's Den again. Should we give this guy any airtime? No, he's a clown. But when I went on there, it was, again, just to get my clip like I did with Jim Bob. And I got him to admit that his beliefs could not be proven wrong. When I admitted that almost every, I won't say everything, but most things I know could be proven wrong. He said, no, I can't be proven wrong. That's all I wanted him to say. So the rest of the time he called me a dummy and where did the universe come from and all that kind of stuff. I really don't care, because all I cared was that I can admit I'm wrong. He never will. And that's like the famous Ken Ham
stop
thing.
Letting them shift the burden. We have to stop that.
When
that's why I don't like this argument thing. They never got proof. It's always arguments. Well, I've got a collective argument for God. It's like, I don't give a shit about your argument. Your argument doesn't mean jack. Arguments don't mean anything.
Your sophistry isn't reality.
Yeah, arguments leading you to simple, intuitive answers to hard, non-intuitive questions. And because they have all the answers, you're supposed to go, what a brave, special person that's figured out everything. Wow, they're so knowledgeable. Over there, they say that they're really smart, but they don't know anything. Isn't that dumb? That sounds like an oxymoron. I'm like, these people, when they were in proper control, right? They tortured us, they put us in prisons, they put us on pikes, whatever things, they stoned us to death, whatever they fucking wanted to do, because they're a bunch of bastards, right? So I don't see why we have to be nice to them. Fuck them. If they don't want to give me proof, why should we talk to them? We got to provide proof for oxygen. We got to provide proof for gravity. We got to provide proof for the age of the universe, the size of the universe, the shape of the earth, how clouds are made. We got to provide proof for everything that happens in all of the universe. Otherwise, they go, by the way, did you know it was God? We have to prove everything. These bastards get so annoyed, right, that we ask for proof. How dare you ask for proof? And it's like, I'm sorry, don't we literally want proof for everything in existence? You make fun of us for that, but you know, hey, when it's your God, we can't prove that. I know he's in everything and he runs everything, and his fabric of being runs through every fabric of existence, and he is what that is. You know, I am that what is that what I am, or whatever he says, right? He's supposed to be everything. He's all powerful, all knowing, all these things. Just can't detect him. You know, we've got hundreds of trillions of neutrinos flying through everything, every second of every day, and we can detect 5 a year. But for some reason, the thing that's in everything, God, nothing, not a thing.
I'm gonna clip that.
Yeah, that was amazing. I was gonna say, you know, the Bible does say, "Don't put your Lord to the test," but that's probably because the people who wrote it knew that, you know, they were just making stuff up as they went along. That simple.
Well, it was because back in the day, right, putting God to the test meant that somebody was going to come in and ruin Judah, right? It wasn't you were going to go to hell, because the Jews didn't believe in hell. They didn't believe in heaven, right? Christians made all that up. But they don't care about any of that because, well, you know, it's my point of view and I'm special. Do you see how I exist? So I have thoughts, and they're the best thoughts. You can tell because I'm Christian. They don't care about anything except what makes them feel better. That's why they get angry at people going having doubts, because they don't want to hear it themselves because they're having doubts, right? So people like us that go, this is really fucking stupid, they get all touchy and they get the fifis hurt. And then after that, they'll go online and they'll talk about how they never offended anything and all the young people are all just a bunch of offended little pussies or whatever. You know what I mean? It's fucking pathetic. These people are just bullies that have grown up being bullies because a religion tells them they're better than everyone else.
Yeah.
It hurts thinking that a lot of people, you know, one of the big crutches for religion is, like, especially with anything that has sort of a heaven or an afterlife concept, the whole idea of, oh, you'll meet your family, you'll meet this friend you lost, your pets or whatever will be up there. And people realizing, no, we just stop existing, and that's kind of it. It's like before you were born. It's like, I get that hurting on an emotional level when you've been thinking that through your life, but I'd rather know reality, know the truth, understand the truth, and accept things, you know, accept the temporary nature of life, than, you know, just think, oh, everything's still fine. That doesn't make sense to me.
For creationists, there has to be a point that they come to, because there is the indoctrination factor. Like, I grew up indoctrinated into believing young Earth creationist claims were true. But at a certain point, information came to me that contradicted that belief. And, you know, I think creationists get to that point and they have to make a choice. Am I going to keep on believing this contrary to the evidence I have otherwise? Or am I going to embrace it? Or am I going to accept these findings and look into that and see why, and go with whatever the facts tell me? And, you know, they choose faith, and many times they get to be like Kent Hovind, where it's not even really about that anymore. You know, it's about money. And I don't think Kent Hovind believes all the things that he says. He's got enough textbooks there that he quote mines to tell him different.
Well, yeah, he's a libertarian grifter through and through. Yeah.
I think that they all come to that place where they have to make that decision, though. I mean, I did, and I decided to look into it, and when I did, I couldn't hold those beliefs anymore.
There's also the sunk cost fallacy, man. You know, they've been it for so many years. You know, oh, they're going to lose family members and friends. That comes into it a lot more than actually giving a shit whether God's real or not.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like my mother had a crisis, right? Because she was like she was the one that brought me into fundamentalist, like Southern Baptist Christianity. When I got to about 13, 14, she suddenly thought she was a psychic and could do all the psychic things. She was doing pendulums. Let me read your mind. Let me speak to the dead with my tarot cards. And then she thought, well, that's the devil's work, isn't it? But God gave me the gift, and then like had a breakdown for like a year and a half.
Don't suffer a witch to live.
Yeah. But then she's like, well, if I just kind of, ignore it all, because like I'll lose friends, I'll lose family, they'll fall out with me because I'm not a Christian anymore. And like she didn't even not want to be a Christian. She wants to believe in Jesus and God. She's just like, the religion's fucked, right? So Jesus and God are great, but the rest of it's fucked. And people still fall out with her. And people think about this shit. She also thought about, well, it lets me hate the gays. She said that to my face.
Were you a Christian at some point, Zach?
What?
Were you ever a Christian, Zach?
I was a fundamentalist Baptist Christian for about 13 years.
Okay. Just wondering.
It's one of the reasons that I get very angry about Christianity.
No, that's why I cover creationism and stuff, because I lived that. I know what it entails. It wasn't until I had already quit believing because I had found science that contradicted everything I believed. And, I knew that the world was like, the Bible wasn't true about the world around us, but I still had this like, well, maybe it's just, maybe I just don't understand it. And it's all, Jesus does talk in riddles, so maybe I'm just not understanding what the Bible's getting at and stuff. And, I started watching things with like Christopher Hitchens and Dawkins and stuff. And then I found out the harmful part of religion and the awful things that it promotes and the awful things that different religions promote. And at that point, I was like, it was fun when I thought it was a fairy tale, but I don't believe that fairy tale, and it's actually harming people. So that's what made me want to do what I do now, in a way,
Well, being fundamentalist was one of the reasons I became an atheist. Because when I moved, like I was born in Maine, in America, and then I moved over to Britain. And I went to a Catholic school because there was some girl that I was into, right? And then I was like, oh shit, these people don't believe stuff in the Bible, right? And I'm like, oh, there's how many? Because I was never told about denominations. I was in a Baptist church. They don't talk about other denominations except to say they're satanic. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, oh shit, they're all different. How do they all think they know God's mind? All these people are lying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Great Schism.
Along the way, but
Well, yeah, what Otangelo said, that he's using the arguments to prove God. And it's like, yeah, but then you fall right into which God. So that doesn't help you either.
But it's not even just that. Arguments just lead you into bias, because arguments make you answer the answers that you want, or the person asking the answer.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all burden shifting, though. It's all...
Well, of course, because they don't want to talk about the fact they don't have a shred of proof. They don't have a shred of proof for David. They don't have a shred of proof for Jesus. They have nothing for anything. In fact, they have lots of proof saying that a lot of the stories came from...
Hey, Dave's here, man.
What?
I said, Dave's here, man.
Jump in there, Dave. What do you think, Dave?
What do I think about...
100% correct about everything he said.
What do I think about Otangelo?
No, what do you think about the whole, like, rather than Christians ever wanting to have, or creationists or apologists, however you want to word it, rather than wanting to have honest conversations, they always want to talk about attacking evolution or something. And if you press them on, okay, that's false, fine, evolution sucks. Now explain to me why I should believe in the Christian God that you believe did all these things. Like, they never want to actually have that conversation. They just want to tell you why science is wrong, which doesn't support them in any way.
Because creationism is a political movement, not a religious one.
Right. And that's kind of what we were going on about.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
They're scared of the conversation about God. They want to talk about evolution or whatever because they can't defend their position.
That's what the Hawaiian Shirt guy and Ken Ham and all the rest of them do. They only talk about the boogeyman. They don't, and it keeps you from examining their own story about the dinosaurs on the ark, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got your with our political atmosphere too, you hold your nose or just ignore these things because you like these one things they said, right? So as long as they're saying, no, you know better than all the scientists do. Pat yourself on the back. They're feeling good. And yeah, dinosaurs on the ark. Oh, well, then, you know, it just kind of
whatever I got to do to make it work, you know, like
yeah, okay, yeah, right. Just
They were all babies on the ark.
Because it's also a conspiracy
or
theory.
hibernating.
You know what I mean? It's about conspiracy thinking. Because
it is.
Everyone is
Seriously,
actually lying because it's all satanic cabal.
And it's QAnon level crazy shit usually. Like it's nuts.
It's worse
shit.
though because people with Q just find it funny and do it as a troll and kind of believe it. Whereas religion, people are ready to kill for it because they think the God Almighty has sent him with a task.
Yeah.
And you can't deny that task because it's God. That's what makes them dangerous.
I don't even like getting to the ark because you got to show a global flood before you, and not even the Noah's Ark story. Just anybody on a boat during a global flood. Well, then first you have to have a global flood.
I love to ask him, why is the trees? If there was a flood, why is the trees and grass?
Yeah.
If all the trees went above Mount Everest, right, for 40 days and 40 nights, all that salt water is going to drown and kill every fucking tree, bush, shrub, flower, and every fucking plant.
Oh, no, they've got an
all
answer.
All the fish are going to die from the mixing of salt water and fresh water.
No, they don't
Miracle.
mix. There's bubbles. I think it's ICR. They're sitting there talking about. There's bubbles where the fresh water and the salt water don't mix. So the fresh water were in their little bubble of fresh water.
That's the most
and the salt water were in their little bubble of salt water. They use it. No, you know where they get it from is that old tired argument, and the Muslim apologists use it too. Is the thing where the waters don't mix thing, right?
Yeah.
And actually, that's just the boundary where the fresh water, salt waters come in, but it eventually does mix. Yeah.
Let's apply Occam's razor to that. Though. Let's apply Occam's razor. So they need the bubbles and they need the continents shifting around at 60 miles an hour, and they need all these major geological events to take place that we don't see that happened, and they also need some way to figure out how rock formed so quickly and everybody didn't just jump off in a puddle of mud and die.
Go for wood.
Yeah, they
there's your answer.
So they come up with all these things like this bubble thing. That's not in the Bible. There's no evidence of that. There's no reason to think that. But they came up with it after the fact to explain some problem in their thing. And it's to the point, it's like, okay, you've had to come up with 10 different mechanisms that we don't see happening to explain this thing. Now, is that more likely or the natural explanation that makes perfect sense? And they don't want to look at it that way ever.
We should ask them about the Atrahasis, the Eridugenesis, fucking what's the other? The Atrahasis is the Tales of Gilgamesh. You know where the flood came from? Was it the Atrahasis? The flood actually comes almost specifically from the Atrahasis, where it's the 40 days, the 40 nights, the springs come out. He released a raven and a dove and all this stuff. Like
maybe I ought to read that and do a comparison.
Really should, man. They hate this cuneiform shit from Mesopotamia because we only learned to read it in like the last 150 years, and it's like, well, we actually know that bits of the Adam and Eve story came from one of the tales about like Enki and so all this different stuff. Because I don't know, it's almost like Assyrian Babylon ruled over Judah for various
time. Let's take into account the time that these stories were being passed around.
We don't know that though. That's the problem. We don't know exactly when they were passed around.
Well, the stories of gods and stuff in Christianity and all that, we know when that happened.
Oh yeah.
And the literary style at the time, the way that people learned to write was to take already existing stories and then expand on them and exaggerate them and make them into fiction in their own story. Now, what we see happening is there's religions and stories that predate Christianity that these things obviously came from, and then they've taken them and shoved them in, even up to the resurrection and all that stuff. They've shoved it into their story and then done everything they can to make it fit. And it's obviously a retelling of other stories. I mean, we know that the Exodus didn't happen. We know that Moses wasn't a person, that it's a compilation of both living and mythical people. We know that there was never a worldwide flood. We actually can prove that did not happen. Through geology
we can prove the moon never split in two too.
Right.
That doesn't change.
The Earth
that
is
doesn't
older
change.
than 6,000 years.
Yeah, doesn't change opinions on it. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. But that's the thing. It's like we know all these things aren't true yet. Yeah, they are. God, book says a thing, and it's like, okay, let's talk about why I should believe that over the natural explanations that explain these things. And they don't ever want to answer that question, ever. I beg you to come answer that question, theists.
My favorite argument for that sort of thing, it's to do with the flood as well. It's like they go, well, if you look at like the Ariogenesis and the Atrahasis and stuff like that, you can see how it's taken from that. But that is just a different people writing about the same flood of the Jews, you see. Yeah. And the Greeks, they had a flood myth, you see, and that came afterwards. And the one afterwards was copying the Jewish one, proving that the Jewish one existed. You see that both tales came from before and after, and they both have the same amount of power in explaining how the one in the middle definitely happened.
Yeah, they both make the same amount of sense because they're the same story essentially. Yeah, and like,
I mean, these are people
we know from looking at the natural world that a lot of those things didn't happen, and that's all good and well. But again, the challenge would be, why should I believe that these 10 complex events that we don't see any evidence of happened to make your story true whenever your book is wrong about so many things? And I don't see any. It's not that there's no evidence of God, which there's not. It's not that. It's that there's no good reason to even believe it at all. Like, I mean, it's like the tooth fairy. The tooth fairy is kind of useless, right? I mean, like, the tooth fairy serves no real purpose. Like, we tell our kids that, when they're pulling their teeth, just to get them hopped up about, you're growing up and all those things. Like, we do it for the benefit of the kids and stuff. But the tooth fairy really doesn't have any real use. And kids, that's the first one they usually see, and they're like, yeah, okay, I get what's happening here. And I feel like it's that kind of thing. It's just like, there's no good reason. There's no use in believing it. And whenever you look at the only source for Christianity or Islam or whatever, whenever you go and look at it and it says it's the one true thing, and then there's so many things in it that aren't true, I have to ask you, like, how do we decipher what things are literal and true and factual and what things aren't, and what mechanism do you use to do that, and why? And there will never be an answer to that question from a theist. I believe. I don't think
they're not being honest about it.
Well, I often say that
right.
I associate religious texts, other than the spiritual things, is with Aesop's fables. When I read Aesop's fables, I don't think animals can talk. That's not why you read the story. And when I read Bible stories, I don't see that, when, like, say, Jesus walked on water, okay? When I read that, I think of, like, Tom Brady stepping on the football field and he walked on water, right? Yeah. It's a use of a term. It's not that he actually walked on water. He just did something incredible, and they go, wow, this guy walks on water, right? Then it makes, to me at least, it makes sense.
See, the thing with Jesus, right, is Jesus wasn't meant to be any of the things that he was supposed to be, right? He's not supposed to have done all these miracles and all this stuff. He was just supposed to come in and raise Judah up to fight against the Romans.
In the world, yeah.
Yeah, because right. But the Christians added on all this stuff. So when it says that Jesus walked on water, for instance, it means that he walked on water because it's supposed to show that he is one and the same with God and imbued with the spark of the divine that allows him to do the miraculous feats. Because him dying on the cross and not taking over Rome or freeing the Jews really makes him not the Messiah. Right? So they had to make him magical to make him matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use the prophecies often that he didn't fulfill any of it. So
because they go, hey, Isaiah says that a virgin will be born, a virgin will have a kid, and he'll be called Emmanuel. And then Assyria, that means the coming of Assyria, and you're supposed to substitute Assyria for Jesus. You know what I mean?
And he'll be called Emmanuel, so name him Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, it's really the same thing.
The whole chapter is about the coming of Assyria. It's what it's about.
Well, he's got 50 names, don't you know? So we give the guy 50 names, and then it covers everything. So
well, I think also though that, like, whenever you get into all those things, it's if you're going to say, like, well, Jesus walking on water, it really meant something else. Then I still have the same questions. Which parts are you going to take literally, and which parts are you going to take figuratively? Who and how do you make that decision, and why? And I think that's always my question to that, because I think that Number one, I know that they don't have an answer to it, but it makes them have to dig down into, if they do answer, into why they believe it's true, which is the thing I really want to get at. I don't care about your arguments, your fine tuning, and your floods, and I don't care about your arguments. They're all horse shit. They're wrong. Now let's talk about why you believe it's true. Now, if it's because you believe those arguments are true, fine, but that's not why you believe a God is real. You just think those things are possible.
Well, it's one of two things. You either just believe what everybody else told you, or when you read the text, something spoke to you, right?
Yeah.
So when it's a personal thing, I say I can understand personal things. You could read a book of poetry or any, you know what I mean? And it could profoundly change your life. You know what I mean? Some words just spoke to you, and, you know, you had an experience, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I can understand all that. But then, like Joe's saying, though, is when you read it, though, and with all the denominations, and even among the can't get it out, among the denominations, people are going to disagree, right? So then it goes back to, it's a personal thing. And if you leave it as a personal thing and these stories mean something to you, you know, that's fine. But like our problem with these creationists and apologists, they're then saying, well, this is what this book spoke to me, so now I'm going to tell you, right? And there opens up the can of worms.
See, I think there's a different side to that as well. I think some of it is like, yes, there's indoctrination, and, you know, you're down, well, you're an alcoholic, or you're down and out and they get you or whatever, right? There's always that stuff. But I think there's the other side of it, and I think it aligns very much with conspiracy theory thinking, where there needs to be someone in control. This world is shit. Have you seen how bad everything is, right?
Yeah.
So it can't be on us, you see, because that's personal responsibility, right? And it's a bigger thing than just the singular person. And, you know, governments, depending on as more ideological, people care more about what side of the government they're on than what they really do. So then there has to be something above all of that is making, because listen to what they say about him. Everything's going to be okay. He's in control of everything. You know, everything happens for a reason. He works in mysterious ways because they keep on telling each other over and over and over again that this world is bad, right? And we get that. And God has a plan for everyone. Don't worry about how bad it is, right? He has a plan for you. He has a plan for me. He has a plan for everyone. And it's, you know, instead of like trying to work together to make things better, it's just so they can go, yeah, this is crap, but in the end it'll be better, right? I can have an eternity of not giving a shit about the small bit of suffering I did. That's also why these people turn to the right wing, and they don't give a shit about taking care of anything, because they're more concerned about the eternity that waits them than the shithole they live in for a short span of time.
Our favorite clown, Ken Ham, Joe. He gets giddy when he talks about, he's not worried about climate change because Jesus is going to come back and burn it up with fire.
That's what all the crazies around me say.
It's going to burn, baby. It's going to burn. And he's just excited about that. So he doesn't care. Dump stuff in the water. You know what I mean? Who cares, right?
They're all very special, and they get to see the end. I know they've been saying it for 2,000 years, but they're alive now, and they get to see the end because they're the super special ones. You see.
So let me give you a little anecdotal story here. I had a conversation with one of my neighbors about this subject, and I was talking about climate change and how, you know, we're destroying the earth or whatever, and they of course believe that doesn't matter, that only God can destroy the earth because that's what He promises in the Bible, right? So for that to come true, we can't destroy it. So they don't give a shit about any of that. And my question is, well, don't you care about the generations that have to live in filth and garbage and flooded areas and everything because you didn't give a shit about the earth? Like, even if all you're worried about is your afterlife, don't you care about the kids and stuff that have to grow up in a world that you've destroyed because you don't care? Only God can do it. Maybe God doesn't destroy it. It just gets really, really bad for a long time, you know, like, Maybe that's what happens. Why don't you care enough for those people to do it? And that usually
it's never past their generation unless they're worried about some books in a school somewhere. Then it's all about the children. Then it's all about the children.
God made this plan a long time ago, and that's all that matters. So we're all just fulfilling His will. So we just let it happen because it's the way God wants it.
Hawaiian shirt guy has said that it's going to happen, he believes, before he dies. So once again, it's about him and his generation.
he was the one Jesus was talking about before he tasted death.
He thinks he is Jesus. Come on.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I'm surprised they don't sell crucifixes with Ken Hovind on them.
I'd almost want one if they did.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, man.
I could put it next to my Pope plate.
Upside down.
No, because that would make him too much like St. Peter, and he'd like that, wouldn't he?
Probably. Hey, guys, I'm about to hop off here. Just want to say, been an awesome time. Thanks to the audience. Joe, if I hadn't subscribed to you already, I'm going to. We're probably going to have to talk again. All of you, though, Zach, Dave, you're awesome.
Yeah, get a hold of me and we'll talk, and you can come back on and stuff, man. I mean,
sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Yep. Y'all take it easy. Catch you next time.
You too.
You too.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times though, like, it's not like, I don't give a shit what people believe about whatever, you know, like, I don't care if you believe the Bible's literally true and all that shit. I mean, I think that's a silly thing to believe, and I can show you reasons it's silly. I think that people are indoctrinated, and I don't blame them for it, but I can show you why it's silly. And once I do, there's a problem there. But like, beyond that, like, my big thing is whenever they're like just straight lying and quote mining science and things, and just lying to people about that. Like, my most recent video is from Donnie's channel, and Standing for Truth is notorious for just quote mining scientific papers to say what they wanted to say, and just completely misrepresenting things and trying to use big words to confuse people. And
the Jordan Peterson approach.
Yeah, hyperbole. And yeah, they try to do these things, and it's like, that's what I don't like. And a lot of times what I go after is whenever I see that they're just blatantly lying about something. And you know, that happens quite often. Especially in the creationist circles. The funny thing is as much as I talk about creationism and stuff, other than like when I sit down with somebody that deals with Kent or something, I never even talk about that dude. Like, I don't usually even bring him up. I'll bring up Ray Comfort or something like that before I bring up Kent Hovind, because I think Hovind's just a joke. I think,
you know, I don't like to even say his name. So
yeah, I don't care
to do it.
That,
To be honest, Dave, you gave me an idea. If I'm going to start covering Kev Hovind, and I'm just gonna play him myself. Fuck him. I'll just take all of his words and I'll just do it myself.
Well, I did one response video to Hovind. He kept using the deck of cards, and if you put down the deck of cards like geological layers, they're not at different times, and it just bugged me and bugged me and bugged me. So I got some egg timers, and I put a card down, and I turned over the egg timer. And then I came back in a little while, and I put a card down, and I turned over another egg timer. And then I was, see, the cards are put down at different times. And without ever saying his name, I had a Hawaiian shirt on, and I would stick my sleeve into the camera every once in a while and say, from this guy, right? So I did a whole video on him, and I never said his name.
Yeah. Well, like, I don't know. See, I have a lot of mixed feelings about that stuff, because again, I like to
well, it's poking fun at him. Everybody knows who I'm talking about.
I mean? No, I know. I like to I don't know. I like to correct whenever people are, especially I know that on YouTube there's a Kent Hovind following that goes around repeating everything he says and stuff. And so sometimes I like to correct the things he says whenever I have sources and proof that he's wrong. I can demonstrate that he's wrong. I like to show that to his people, even though they don't give a shit, because like you said earlier, whenever you show that they're wrong about something, they just move on to something else. It's like, oh, I'm wrong about the geology, let's talk about cosmology. And I'm wrong about that, let's talk about this.
And with me, certain things hit me. I watch a lot of stupid videos, right? But I don't make responses to all of them. It's when somebody says something, I'm like, oh, heck no. And I grab my pen and I make myself a little note, you know what I mean? Oh, you got to address this, right? And so, like with this AIG climate thing, what is she saying? She's saying the polar bears are thriving and doing just fine. No, they ain't. the sea ice is returning. No, it ain't. And I pulled up the paper she was looking at, and it said in one spot they grew some sea ice. Everywhere else it melted.
Because
and it's just.
Sorry.
And don't forget, in the 70s there was going to be global cooling, and it's like no, you know. And when those things are just going no, you know what I mean? They're not even trying. This stuff is so old and been shown to be not true, and it's like, come on, you're not even trying. You know what I mean? They're using the weakest, lamest stuff they can dig up from a you know, your brother-in-law's cousin's blog somewhere, right? It's just so bad, it bugs me. That's when I make a video.
The worst thing about that ice thing is it's like, yeah, there is actually more ice. Do you know why? Because when the ice melts, right, it doesn't have any salt in it, and fresh water melts quicker than salt water. It doesn't last long. You know what I mean? It's like, but you see, it's growing down. It's like, yeah, that's where all the fresh water is. It freezes first.
Well, and the sea ice that does form isn't as thick as it should be either.
And then it melts quicker.
Yeah, so they're, you know, they're cherry picking. You know, I pulled it up. Oh, when they give you a citation, that's when you got them, because you pull it up and you actually read what it said, and I did, and it said, yeah, it's melting everywhere, but there was this one little spot in 2023, and it's like, that's what she read. There it is, right there. One spot grew some sea ice, melted everywhere else, but the sea ice is returning, and it's just fine, and blah blah blah, and it's like, it just. And there I am. We got to download the video, and I start cutting it up. And
well, that's why. Like when I'm doing videos now, I started like when they go, oh, it's this quote from the Bible. It's like, well, maybe let's read the whole chapter, shall we? And maybe the chapter. Like, let's actually see what the context of this is, because they always lie about what they're fucking talking about.
Me and Dave covered an AIG video, and the very first thing he did was read a Bible verse and leave the middle part of it out.
Yeah. I always love it's this, dot, this.
Yeah.
And as far as making videos, I the reason I make videos is, you know, my wife and kids have had to listen to me for a lot of years yelling at the TV and stuff, right? They're like, why do you watch this Bigfoot show or whatever? All you're doing is yelling at the TV. And it's like, because they got this stuff wrong, and I got to know what they're saying. And, you know, so it's an outlet for me, right? So if, you know, like the other day, was it on here that Simos was on?
No, I don't.
Maybe it was over at Mods. Anyway, Simos came on. He goes, oh, yeah, I saw that video. I got what you were saying. And it's like, thank you. You know, if just one person understood why this bugged me and why I made the video, then, you know, it confirms to me, it's like, see, somebody else, it bugged them too, right? So when I'm making a video, now it's always nice to get a bunch of views, right? But like Joe and I have talked about before, you never know what's going to get, you know, what's going to hit big, right? I've put a lot of work and effort into a Grassman show, and it didn't do so good. Missing Mod came on, and we just had a nice little discussion, and it blew up, right? So
you never know.
You never know, right? So that's I didn't talk to Missing Mod because I thought it was going to blow up, right?
Right. No,
I figured it would be like my other videos with like 100 views or whatever, and you know, I'm happy with that. And it blew up. So hey, that's good, but it's not why I did it.
Right, but you know, like it's not why I just make videos on the things that hit me, that I feel like that I'm, you know, that hit a nerve, and I'm like, I want to talk about this.
It bugs you. Yep.
I'll go find a video, like whenever, especially AIG stuff, because when they release something, I'm like, these lying motherfuckers, they have degrees and know what they're saying is a lie. Like, and so I go and I save the video, and then I'm like, well, I think about it a little bit and cool off.
That's my head too, brother. That's in my head too. It's like, you're fucking lying. You're fucking lying.
I would respond to every AIG video they make if I had time.
Well, Ken Ham's even said that you only get a degree, so people take you seriously. He said that about his own degree.
So you can lie.
Like that, you know what I mean?
So you can be more convincing when you lie, is what that means.
Nathaniel Jeanson.
It's not just that. It puts you a step level above reproach, doesn't it? Because if one of us three starts fucking making fun of them, they can
Well,
go,
I'm an expert.
I'm Dr. Astute, and how dare you? Do you have a college education on par with mine? I don't think
What are your degrees in?
Yeah.
His pet project, Nathaniel Jeanson, who grew up on Ken Ham's materials, homeschooled on them, said in an interview, "What's your advice to young people?" He said, "Memorize the stuff so you can pass the tests. Go home, read the Bible, and get the real answers." So he's obviously smart enough to go to a top school, learn all the stuff, and pass the test. But in his brain, he just dismisses it as soon as the test is over.
I mean, to be fair, he went to a
To be
top
fair.
school in Australia in like the 60s.
You're lying to yourself. Lying to
fair.
yourself can be just as harmful as lying to other people. So, but I would prefer you just lie to yourself.
Well, you know what's sad though? Here's what's sad. Jeanson is obviously a smart young man. All right.
Yeah.
Jeanson had aspirations to cure cancer. Okay. And instead, he trades it all to sit in a cubicle at Ken Ham's abomination. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, just think if he would have actually applied the brains he does have somewhere in there, and went and worked in a lab, and maybe he would have actually cured cancer. Instead, obviously, a little, twisted up there or whatever, but somewhere in there is a smart part, right? That went to Harvard or whatever and graduated, right? I mean, there's some smarts in there that are just going to waste. It's just, it's a crying shame. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah, that he could be applying those brains for something good.
They get me going, and like I choose to do videos on those things, and the thing with a video blowing up and getting a bunch of views, the thing that's exciting about that is all this stuff that I make talking about different things that mean something to me. Whenever I have a video that does well, those people that like that video sometimes go look at my other videos. And so it's it's like it's necessary if you're wanting to have more conversations and reach out to more people, and that's what I was saying earlier. Like, because my channel is small, I'm limited on who will even take me seriously if I say I want to have a conversation with them. So
I try to earn it. My subs have gone one sub at a time for 2.5 years now. I haven't gotten any ghost subs, or you know what I mean. I mean, people watch my stuff, and I like to say I've earned every one. You know what I mean? So
it's like I'd love to have conversations.
Hold on a second, Zach. Hold on. What time does your stream start?
Mine starts at 9:30, but I've got Mike Beverly coming on to help me sort out some stuff first.
Is the thumbnail already up?
Yeah.
Well, hold tight for a second, and I'll redirect everyone to you. So that I had some people in the chat say that they really liked your stuff anyway. So why don't I just go ahead and send them there? So if you guys don't care, just talk about something for a minute, and I'll get it. Just take me a second.
I did have something to say, and then you started flattering me, and I've forgotten everything I was going to say. I like it if I change people's ideas and stuff, but it's not my main goal. I'm just an angry bastard, so I need to shout about stuff. You know what I mean? And then people like my stuff, and I'm like, that's fucking amazing. But like, I can't. As you can see throughout this, I'm terrible at having conversations with people. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, especially with Christians, I'm like, you don't matter. Like, I'll just talk over you, because that's why I don't want to have them on my channel, because I'm not going to be nice to them. So, I was always taught, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Because they never respect us, so I don't see why I should ever respect them. Jesus says, treat others as you want to be treated. So if they treat me like shit, I'm going to treat them like shit. And that's it's like, whatever.
Yeah, I can be blunt and somewhat brutal, but I try to keep it civil because of my basically I went in with thinking that I'm going to be as civil as possible. Okay. So I try not to cuss or, call people names unless they earned it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And like Joe's saying, if somebody's blatantly lying, and it didn't take me any effort at all to look it up on the internet, then I'm going to call them out, and I'm going to say, you're lying, or you are the laziest person on earth, that you couldn't, 5 seconds worth of, is this, 24, right? You couldn't look that up. Then I've got to say, yeah, you're either lying or you are the laziest person ever. And you shouldn't be doing anything, because it insults anybody like us that make videos and took 5 minutes to look it up on the internet to make sure it was in 1940 and it was 50,000 pounds. And this is the molecular formula, whatever you're doing. Come on, it's just, I think it's insulting to, and extremely insulting to people at the higher level that do good journalism, write books and everything, that seriously spend years, fact checking every word in their book,
That's one of the reasons I have very little patience for him, because it's all the devil talking, and if it's not what they agree with, it's just the devil, and what you say doesn't matter. It's just in one ear and out the other, because you are evil, because you're either pretending to not be a Christian, or you're pretending that there isn't a God, or you're working for the devil or whatever. You know what I mean? And like, one of the other things with me is I have ADHD or whatever it is that makes you just want to do stuff all the time, right? And fucking when Christians come at me and they say, well, I'm going to say this argument, it's like, well, I know what your argument is, so I don't see the point in letting you talk, because you guys have been using this this argument for a couple hundred years. Why should I let you state it all? I'm just going to get to the point, because your argument doesn't matter, because the argument doesn't matter. So
I used to listen. I
So
used to listen, but I'm old now. I've heard it for decades and decades. I don't need to hear it again. Please, I'm not being rude. I already know it. I know the Bible verse. I know the Kalam argument, whatever you're trying to, I know it. I know. We can skip you telling it, and we can just, skip that. Oh no, well, you're being rude. You're not letting me talk. And it's like, I know it. It's a given. It's a given.
I don't care if I'm being rude to them. You know what I mean? Because they don't care if they're rude to us. That's why they got to control our language and control what we do and control what we say at every possible opportunity. Hey, I know I want to talk to you, but you can't say these things, and you can't say these things, and you can't act like this, and you can't do that, because I'm super special Christian and I have 50,000, and because you need me to be on here to talk to you, then you need to fulfill all these things, because I'm super special Christian, because God sent me. You know what I mean? And it's like, go fuck yourself. How about that?
Yeah. So you've got 30 minutes before you actually go live, 28 minutes. So if you do need to drop out and get whatever ready or whatever, go ahead. And I'll stay on till right at 4:30 here. And then whenever I end, it'll go right into your show.
Cheers.
Everybody will be redirected. So you'll have there were some people wanting to subscribe and watch your stuff anyway. So it'll
cheers. I do. Yeah. Well, for people who are wondering, I do response videos. I might be streaming once a week from now on. I do long form lectures and shorter stuff, and I also do parody songs. So I've got a parody song coming out in a weekend or so, week or two of
Zach's incredibly funny. So
that's going to be great.
It's a fun watch. Zach is one of those channels that I discovered, and I was like, oh, I can't believe it took me so long to find this guy.
You have Zach's link. I think I'm subscribed.
Yeah, I think you are.
Yeah, because you're subscribed to me, right?
Yeah. You were talking to a punk guy about Christian music, and I'm like, I'm on it.
I recognize. Yeah, so I always reciprocate subscribers, so we should be good.
See, I'm not usually good with community shit, and I'm still learning. I'm trying to be nice. So I'm too much of an angry loner.
I don't always. Yeah, you don't always have time to go through everything, but I try, to hit my stuff. So
yeah,
I do appreciate everybody that subscribes. So
I've had fun. It's always fun coming on here, Joe. You've always got a welcome thing on any of my streams. And Dave, you ever want to come on any of my streams? Fucking just
you too. You too.
So I'm gonna go do shit, and I'll hopefully see some of you later.
All right.
Yeah. See you in a little bit.
See you later.
Bye. Yeah. Zach is I see Zach doing great things. He's hilarious.
Yes, I recognize the name. Like I say, I go through my subs list and I I check who's in there and I subscribe to them. Hey, Al made it to 100 subs. All right.
All right, Al. Every little hill you get to, I remember my first 100 subs. It took a while. I remember like being stuck at like 35 subs for forever. And,
got the grass man up to about 80, so I'm getting close over there.
I got lucky is what happened with me, right? I had a couple videos that did really, really well, and my subscriber counts went up like 300 and 400 at a time. And then Paula Gia showed me on the new atheist things of the year back at the first of the year, and a lot of people see me there. And that's, I just got lucky. I had a couple good videos that people liked apparently. And, I don't think my content's crap, but it's not at the caliber of a lot of others. I just like having conversations with people. And I think that there's a value in doing that rather than it always being an adversarial argument, like, sure, I'll correct people on things that I know they're wrong about, that I can show they're wrong about. But I would much rather be just engaged in an honest conversation. That's not always possible. So instead, I focus a lot on the atheist community, though. I have more fun talking to you guys and getting together and doing stuff together, and the videos we make and all that. I think that stuff's fun. Like, I had a blast making that video with Dave. It ended up being, I should have cut it in like 3 pieces because it was so long, but I had a blast doing it. So I just put the whole thing up, and for those of you, anybody interested, my Patreon, I put the unedited versions of all my videos, and sometimes there's little Easter eggs and tidbits in there that are just for that, and the only place they go is on my Patreon. So anybody who does like my stuff and wants to see those things, you can join my Patreon for, I think, $5, and you can see all the behind the scenes stuff and things. Me and Dave actually stop in the middle of the video to address the Patreon supporters. So,
and some of the longer ones do better. I had just gotten some comments from people about a video I did. They said, this would have been better if you made it a little shorter. And it was my previous video. I had a newer video out that was longer, and it was doing way better. So, again, you don't always know. So sometimes, just put it out there, and other times you may, make it into little 20, 30 minuters. So.
Yeah. Purple said, unfortunately true. Dumpster fires often get far more views than quality videos. Yeah, that's being provocative and inflammatory, unfortunately, makes more people want to come and watch. And I think that, like, my video, one of my videos I did before I started live streaming on the resurrection, I think that's one of my best videos, but it didn't do very well at all. Like, it's just, but my video, like, just saying Kenneth Copeland's a dipshit, got 18,000 views and some. Like, it doesn't make sense because I don't think that was as good a video. My Scum of the Earth videos, they all did very well, and I put them on a list together, and so when one of them gets hit, usually the rest of them get hit. But it was just luck. It wasn't. Yeah.
My stupid little Jim Bob video is 2.5 minutes long. It's got about 400 views.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, the reason Purple's right, proving her point. The Kenneth Copeland video, the reason they come and watch it is because it's me making fun of the circus sideshow that is Kenneth Copeland and Steven Anderson and Greg Locke and all those people. Like, that's why they come watch, because it's not even the things I'm saying. They just want to see somebody put together all the crazy shit that these people do. And so, yeah, the algorithm's kind of nasty in that sense.
Jim Bob really hates my video. He was saying something about, oh, ha, 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 circus or whatever. And it's like, it's pretty funny, ain't it? Because I put the circus tent up and I put a clown nose on him and stuff. And
I won't be going on Jim Bob's channel anymore. If Jim Bob shows up here and has something he wants to say.
You're in the transcript too. I was reading through the transcript. I saw him talking about you too.
Yeah. Well, he did a show yesterday, and I jumped on in the middle of it and just fucked with him and then left just to piss him off. Because he was like talking about men, if you expect your women to submit to you, then that
I got it downloaded.
That man has to be submitted to God and blah blah blah. And then when I said, dude, that's not what submission means. Like, you changed the definition to make that work. The way he explained it, anyway.
Mike was helping me. He's got a new tool for pulling transcripts. And,
yeah, we talked about that. That's cool.
Yeah, so he got me the transcripts, and I was checking my wording and everything. And so then, hey, I want to collab with you on that response video. And it's like, all right, Mike. Because he was talking about me again yesterday. He's putting words in my mouth, and I was going to ignore him, but, you know, he was saying that I said any observation is a scientific theory. It's like, I didn't say that. And I got the transcript. So I pulled up the Godfather video clip, you know, where he says, every time I try to get out, they suck me back in, right?
Which Diana are you talking about, Purple? And yeah, those people are, you know, it sucks.
Yeah.
Those are people that all make the community a better place.
Smokey Saint. Yeah, I remember Smokey Saint. I had one run in with him, and that was enough.
Yeah.
I think that's all anybody needs.
Right. That, you know, like, so I won't go on Jim Bob's again because I feel like the awful nasty things the chat were saying, I don't want to be the person that they use to say those awful things. You know, like, yeah. He was trying to get
me back on. I was like, no.
If me being there is going to make them say like hateful things, like, I mean, like calling me gay and just things related to that and going on about it and stuff, like, that's weird. Like, and also, like, if we're here to talk about one thing, what does it matter if I stop in the middle and suck a dick? How does that make your argument any better? Like I don't.
He said something about I like getting tied into a chair and getting kicked in the groin or something, and I was like, yeah, I was gonna clip that out and stick it on the very end with what the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, I feel like that whenever I went on Jim Bob's channel, that I showed, like, I didn't like destroy his arguments or anything like that, but I just showed what he was trying to do. Like, it's. Yep. I can do it right now. It's almost done like cold readings, because what he's doing here is I say, all right, Dave, what do you believe is best for humans? What is it that, you know, how do you
define human?
Yeah. Well, and then when you answer that question, then they have to go with the hypothetical to a more extreme. Well, like, what if you care about people, what if killing a bunch of people was for the greater good down the road? I mean, if you defined it the greater good, then it's the greater good. But
yeah,
like,
that's what Mike said earlier. He's asking you, when did you stop beating your wife?
That's awful. But
you know, it's like, yeah.
But I mean, you get, whenever they have to keep making the hypothetical more and more extreme to try and get you in a corner, so that then they can say, well, see, you're not consistent on your views on this. Yeah. Okay, fine. I'm not consistent. I'm human. Humans are not very consistent beings. They suck at it, actually. So let's move on. And I'm inconsistent, but why should I believe the things that you're putting forth? If I'm inconsistent and I'm just not mentally capable of being an atheist, then explain to me why I should believe what you do. Apparently, I'm stupid enough to fall for it. So, you know,
Posh was still gloating yesterday or whatever about how he owned you on the population thing. And I told him, I was like, dude, a lower population does not equate to extinction. It just doesn't. Population levels change all the time, right?
Yeah.
Species populations change. It doesn't mean extinction. It can mean extinction, but it doesn't mean extinction. They don't even understand
that evolution has to do with populations.
Well, he doesn't care about that. It's a dog whistle to people because they're upset that Islam's having more babies than Christians are. That's all they want to try to slide in there. It's going to make us extinct. What are we going to do? It's like, it doesn't mean that doesn't follow. That's
No.
It doesn't follow.
There's plenty of us here. We'll be just fine, Jim Bob.
Yeah, if there was only a billion of us, there would still be a billion people having babies.
He's kind of an incel. Maybe he's just trying to get laid. Like maybe he's.
They all are. They all are.
Look, folks, we're gonna have to get on making babies right now. I'm fertile, so
they don't want women to vote or have jobs or anything else.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right, Purple, and that's why I have no desire to like. Jim Bob's the means don't justify the ends with him, and I don't care to address his questions and stuff, but I won't be visiting him again. I mean, Big
Bad Mama put out a video, like a collab video of a bunch of his garbage, and I downloaded it, and it's got enough material in there to make a half a dozen videos easily. He denies plate tectonics, he denies gravity, he denies space stuff. It's just there's so much there that you could just laugh about. It's
yeah, and that's really so. That's why I like doing my recorded videos, because it's not an argument. It's not giving any wind to these things. It's me talking about it in a funny way. Like it's me addressing it with the attitude it deserves rather than taking it all serious.
That's what I say. Is it platforming them? Well, you can yes or no. And I understand Mikey and everybody else that was saying, but no. I also disagree that ignoring them and they'll go away, that never works either.
Yeah.
So
I get.
Should everybody talk about Hawaiian shirt guy? No. Yeah. Should AJ and Grayson and a couple of them take it on? Yeah, because they're good at it. They know his stuff, and they can handle it. I don't think everybody needs to.
Well, I think the position that Mikey and Zach hold on that, I held that same position. Me and you've talked about this, where I've said I wouldn't give him the time of day. I'm not platforming this person. You and I have talked about my feelings on this before.
Yep, but you shouldn't tell somebody else not to, though. That's the thing.
Exactly. I think there are. I mean, Kent Hovind's little cult is growing, right? And even there's lots of Americans that I hear people all the time around me saying, "You want to find out about, the world? Listen to Pastor Kent Hovind." I've heard that personally from friends. I had somebody text me the other day.
A lot of money going on over there. There's a lot of money going on over there, and I'm waiting for him to have another issue with the tax man because.
So it is important to show why the things that Kent says aren't true, but there has to be a way of going about it that you're not just giving him a platform to spit out his script. You have to do it in a certain way. I mean, you can do it however you want. That's up to you. And I don't care what anybody does. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, it's not really that big a deal. Like, but I do understand the argument of not giving these people air and stuff by talking to them and arguing with them. And, me personally.
I went over on Lupin's channel and I talked to him about Bigfoot. I took some flack for it because what are you talking to that idiot for? This and that. And I was like, look, man, they want to talk about Bigfoot. Well, I want to talk about Bigfoot. I said, and if it's, going to be a nice conversation about Bigfoot. So that's what we did. Every time they tried to anything Bible or anything else, I just said, so Bigfoot, right?
Hey, Purple. I actually talk about this a lot. Why don't you? I'll just go ahead and throw it out there live right now while I'm doing this. This is not professional, but what do you think about coming with me on the 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern time and talking about that with me? Because that's one of the big things I always bring up anytime I talk about AIG and stuff is that they're getting into homeschooling and they're trying to indoctrinate children that way. You want to come on and talk with me about it? I'll bring some sources and the information and all that stuff if you want to do it. The 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern.
That's what that new clown Martin Isles is up to.
Yeah. I haven't got to sit down and talk with Purple in a while anyway. I would love to do that.
And I'd like to talk about this immigration problem.
Mm-hmm.
These Australians keep sending us all their people that are let out of mental institutions.
Yeah.
Ken Ham, Martin Isles. Let's go down the list.
Yeah, no doubt. Georgia pisses me off.
And Mark Reed told me they won't take them back either. So
I could sit and just make videos about stuff that Georgia says.
oh, she is. Oh,
yeah. She's a biologist. That's what bothers me about
She's
it.
another one. Yeah, smart. She went to Ohio State. Okay, she was in somebody's seat that somebody else couldn't get. Right.
Yeah.
And then she takes that, and what does she do with it? You know, and it's like, look, I don't care. You know, if she believed in Noah's Ark and everything and stuff, but she was actually in a lab or curing something, inventing something, whatever. You know what I mean? But instead, it's a double whammy, right? They're not using the brains that are in there. There's some brains in there, and they're wasting it with this nonsense for an easy paycheck. It's just, and I understand easy paycheck is great, right? A lot of people wouldn't turn down an easy paycheck, right? But it's the disrespect to the degree and everything, you know. It's just
yeah.
It's like you said, it bugs you. You're sitting there listening to them, and you're just like, you know better. You know better. You know better.
Yeah. You know that what you're saying isn't true, and because she does that. I mean, if you look at what they do there, right? They've got that big auditorium, and that's where they do their worst at, you know, because they pack people in that auditorium and lie to them, and they pretend like it's a news show, giving good information and stuff. Meanwhile, you have a biologist that is telling you things that she knows are not true. She, you know, like, what's Mark Twain? You believe in something you know ain't so. Like, it's just, she's just, it drives me nuts though, because she has a degree in biology, a PhD in biology. Like, I would love to have that, and she takes it and uses it to lie and to be an authority on things that she knows isn't true, which really just pisses all in my Cheerios, honestly. You know, like, Purple, I agree. Like, if you're going to go and use your knowledge to purposely mislead people and stuff, the university should say something, I think. Maybe I'll contact them and ask them what they think about it. I think I can find out where she said before where she got her degree from. It was some fancy school.
Ohio State. Georgia went to Ohio State.
I'll contact the biology department at Ohio State and ask them what they think about some of her claims. See if I can't get somebody to come on and talk to me.
That'd be great. Yeah.
That'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and I say Jeanson, I'm pretty sure went to Harvard.
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know, man. It's just those kind of things are what bother me, especially since AIG is getting into the homeschooling stuff, right? Like, that's what really bothers me. It's AIG is ridiculous and Ken Ham is ridiculous, but what they're doing, they still have an amazing reach, and they're making lots of money, and they're lying to kids just like I was lied to when I was a kid. And if I can prevent those kids from being lied to, then I want to try and do it. Like, that's my take on it. I don't care that Ken Ham's ridiculous and says stupid things. I care about exposing the fact that he's trying to make our kids say those stupid things.
Exactly. See, for years people would tell me, you know, when I, you know, way back when with the Ken Ham stuff, it's like, why do you care about this, you know, goofy guy? And it's like, it's not him. He talks to how many people? Yeah.
No, for sure. That's one of my big driving forces. It's not like Kent Hovind's ridiculous. Ken Ham's ridiculous. Most apologists, like, their arguments aren't really arguments. Like, these are settled things. They're not really even important things to talk about. Like a worldwide flood, we know it didn't happen. End of story. Like, what argument like are you going to bring? We know that it didn't happen. That's one of the things with the flood specifically, you know, because that's one of the things we know did not happen. And it's like,
and in the end, do they really fucking care about it that much? I don't know, because all they're worried about is, you know, Hoven's always got his hand out, and I just told you that Ken Ham just sold his own property to himself for $1.
Yeah.
Why did he do that? He's not paying taxes.
Right. Yeah. So they, you know,
it seems like, you know, American Christianity is just a tax shelter, you know.
If they admit for 1 minute that they may be doubtful, even if they don't say something's wrong, even if they say, well, I'm not sure we can show that's true, I'm not sure that it's fact. If they said any of that for 1 minute, then what they're doing is completely immoral. So they're not going to ever admit that any part. The Bible has to be literally true because that's what they're teaching. And if they admit that there's any case where it may not be true, where science may have the correct answer, then that makes the whole thing they're doing completely immoral. So they'll never answer for any of that. But Dave, you got anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
I say, looks like Mike and I are gonna respond to all the words that Jim Bob put in my mouth the other day. But yeah, no, I have an AIG one just about ready to.
You got an AIG video with me and you over there.
Misrepresenting the climate issues, so that's mostly done up, and I've got a couple others. So yeah, they're all in the cut up, clipped up, edited stage. And then you know how it goes. I add in the extras and the information and the papers and the audio and stuff. So yeah, I've got about 3 or 4 of them that are coming together. So I always got something coming out. So
yeah.
And then oh yeah, see, I knew I felt a disturbance in the force.
He's been lurking. He's just been watching you, Dave.
I know he can't get enough of me. My video really bothered him. I got him good.
Well, everybody will be redirected over to Zach's channel in a couple minutes. So I'm going to wrap up here. I'll tell you a little bit about what I got going on. So tomorrow we will be doing the call-in show. Stephanie Helms will be with me. We will be taking calls. All that will be working tomorrow. After that, I'm not so sure. But for tomorrow, it will work. And next Sunday, I've got a call examiner coming on. We're going to talk a little bit about what she does and the position she takes on all this, because it's somewhat unique. I was on her channel the other day, had a great time. Thursdays, as usual, Robin will be with me. We're going to talk about political issues, talk about what's in the politics news that week and stuff, and just give our perspective on it. You know, the things that have been going on and stuff. And that's really about all I got going on. What else? Let's see. Again, I want to thank AJ for being my guest today and coming on and hanging out and talking for a while. He didn't feel good and stuff, and I understand.
And you never
I had
know
to
when.
get for an hour.
You never know when Joe and I might get together and make a video, because we've done it a bunch of times now. So we have.
I've actually got one that we may be able to look at together. That's it's not from AIG or Kent Hovind or any of that. It's somebody else.
Well, maybe we can do Farmer Josh. Farmer Josh did 6 videos. That's all that's on his channel. And I've gone through 5, so maybe you and I could look at number 6 and finish that series off.
Sure. Yeah, I'm down for that always. Yeah, always look out for me and Dave doing stuff together. I've got a video where me and Dave cover AIG. There's a big, long, unedited version over on my Patreon again for anybody that's interested in that. My recorded videos, I'm going to start releasing them as members only for, I don't know, a couple days, few days. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to release them as members only, and then they'll go public later, just to give an extra perk to my members. But I'll still do live member streams and live streams all week long. I still do all that stuff. So I'm not taking anything away from anybody else. You'll still get to see everything else. But I really want to appreciate I really appreciate everybody that took the time to come and listen to us today and hear what we have to say. It means a lot to me that you guys even come and listen to me. I'm not an expert. I don't have any special opinion or anything, that people seem to like to come and listen and join in the conversation, and it makes me really happy, and it's awesome. The coolest thing you could do to help me out with the channel, though, just like and subscribe. I mean, we've got memberships at 99 cents and Patreon and all that stuff, but just like and subscribe. And if you don't like what I do later, you can always unsubscribe. Give me a thumbs down if you don't like it. That's fine. I don't mind. But anyway, that's all I got for today, guys. I'm going to get everybody out of here and over to Zach's. And please go over to Zach's and watch. I'll be in the chat over there too, hanging out. So come bullshit with me in the chat, if nothing else. Again, thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Goodbye.